Okay, there you go.
All right. Hello, everyone. This is Jared Rand, and what we'll do is we'll just continue on open mic tonight and just have Q&A on a variety of subjects. One thing I wanted to give everyone a heads up on is if I can find it.
Jared.
There you are.
Hi.
There you go.
Hi, everyone. Apologize for being late. I fell asleep on you guys.
Said you were asleep. I told Smarty, I said she probably fell asleep.
I did. It's been a pretty long day.
All right, well, I got everybody muted, and Jared was about to say something, and I started the recording.
Yeah, fine. You guys go right ahead. I'm going to mute myself out and try and log in on the control panel.
Log
Thank
in.
you, Marty. Thank you, Jared.
All right.
You're welcome.
Did you give the date?
The date is February 28th, 2018.
Okay,
and I wanted to share this with everybody. If you're looking for in one of the folks, one of the people that come to the meditations, daily meditations, sent this, and I think it's worth mentioning that, for instance, a YouTube alternative is www.bitshoot.com. So it's B as in boy, I, T as in Tom, C as in Charlie, H as in Howard, U as in under, T as in Tom, E as in Edward, .com. So it's bitshoot.com. It's a peer-to-peer video sharing platform that puts respect for people and freedom of expression first. They're saying that their mission is to put people and free speech first. It's a P2P using web torrent tech, and is free to join, create, and upload your own videos to share with others. Bonus is that your YouTube account can auto mirror on BitChute. It is free. Another one is liveleak.com, which is L as in Larry, I, V as in Victor, E as in Edward, L as in Larry, E as in Edward, A as in Andrew, K as in King.com. And another one is pewtube.com. P as in Paul, E as in Edward, W as in who, T as in Tom, U as in under, B as in boy, E as in Edward.com. It's creator-friendly, media hosting, supports not only video but also audio and images, live streaming, and easy monetization. And then you have Vimeo, which I'm sure a lot of you are aware of, and another one called D.Tube. D as in David, period, tube. T as in Tom, U as in under, B as in boy, E as in Edward. So those are some alternatives to YouTube, since YouTube has become tainted, to say the least. I thought that would be a good thing to share with everybody. Help you out if you've gotten frustrated and you don't want to use Vimeo, and you can try those and shake those out and see what you think of them. But right now, I think what we want to do is just do an open mic and have Q&A. And obviously, respect each other so that one person can ask a question, get it done, and then mute themselves back out with *6, *6 in, *6 out. And then that way we can get as many questions answered as we possibly can without. And also, it's great. I'd love to talk. There's some people that you want to talk with for a long time, but it takes up a lot of time, and it leaves everybody else without being able to get a shot at asking a question. So you try to keep it as contained as possible, yet ask your question and hopefully get your question answered. So we'll just go with yeah.
I would like for you to explain the Paris Accord agreement and the change that they've been talking about that's going to be made and what it all stands for.
Basically, the Paris Agreement is the Global Economic Reformation Act. It's and all of you on this call have read that. You know what it is. It stemmed from just Nesara is the national and Gesera is the global. It's basically the same thing. It's elimination of debt across the planet in all countries and new currency, global currency reset, and it's an agreement. So parts of it were not acceptable to the U.S., so they're being rewritten. And once that's done, which shouldn't be much longer here, then the president here in the States will sign it, and that should allow, barring any unforeseen circumstances, the gold standard and the new monetary system here in the States to start generating and start operating. Because, and I've said this before, if you look in front of your face and you have a global fiat currency system, and you obviously, because of the things that have been announced, which most of the time is very little information, but they announce it to the public, and mostly the public ignores it. But if you look at the gold standard, which means hard asset-backed currency, countries readjusting their wealth factor so that their currencies can be well represented internationally within their, nationally within their country and internationally around the globe, which allows their currency to increase in value. It's a common occurrence. It's not a one-time thing, but going to the gold standard completely from a fiat system has been done before on this planet, but not to this extent. So when you have devalued currencies, you've got to reset those currencies to put them up with an equalization on the planet with other countries, to make them par value, to make them comparable value to each other, so that you've got an equal distribution of wealth, so to speak. And you have some countries like Zimbabwe and basically the whole continent of Africa that have a tremendous amount of hard assets and high amounts of valuables, infinitesimal in some cases, that have been suppressed for years and years and years and years and years. And, I've used this example a couple times before with Vietnam and Iraq. Iraq was torn up by war for 30 years. They had all kinds of challenges. They had the Gestapo come in and basically take over their government, rape and pillage the country, steal its gold, steal its value, devalue its currency, put a ton of sanctions on it. So it was basically totally ripped up and destroyed and controlled by the dark agenda for years and years and years. And it's the same with Vietnam. So when you do that to a currency, and then you have a gold-backed currency that everybody has basically said, we want to be debt-free, we want to be sovereign, debt-free, and we want to be able to have a valuable asset-backed currency. So we want to do that across the board. Well, you have a fiat system that's dead, pretty much, And you have all these other countries waiting on the timing to switch over to the new SIP system, Corporate Intercontinental Pay System. And it's a much quicker, much more transparent system. So the SWIFT system's dead. For all intents and purposes, it's going to be gone. It's not going to be blended in like some people have said with the SIPs. It's just going to crash and burn. It's part of the antiquated and corrupt system. You can't blend a corrupt system with a clean system. And the purpose of the SIPs is to have total transparency when you're shifting money, when you're sending money. And you can't have interruptions with it, and it's out in the open. So the transparency is huge. And with the Basel system that's coming into play, and, they have Basel 7, 8, 9, and 10, to get it to the point where no shenanigans, where money can't be, interrupted and banged around and bounced off of this account into another account and stolen, which is the case with all the money on the planet. It's usually the case. If the bad guys want to take your money, they're going to take your money with the current system. That's all there is to it. And you're never going to see it again. They're just going to take it. It'll vaporize. So to find a safe avenue, you have to get rid of the bad guys. They have to be abolished, eliminated. And any nefarious activity has to be eliminated. And that's been one of the main reasons this whole process has taken so long. If the bad guys are around, money is not going to move. It just isn't. They're going to try and steal it. They're going to try and hold it up. They're going to try and divert it and do whatever they can. Their whole format now, as desperate as they are, is to destroy the planet and wipe us all out, just like they did with Tiamat. And that's not going to happen. So that's not the direction we're going in. So they're frustrated and they're desperate and they're doing everything they can to create havoc and chaos and destruction, and everybody knows that. So but we're shifting the gears, and the energy wave has changed immensely. And so getting back to the currencies, they'll revalue. If you go back in history and you look before the Vietnam War, and you look, actually it wasn't a war, but a Vietnam conflict, and if you look at what their currency was worth before that, you'd be surprised. The same with Iraq. Iraq's currency, I think, was like 370 something before the war, before the unprovoked attack on them by the Gestapo corporation in D.C. So when you look at that and you start realizing, well, wow, how can they can still function all those years with such a debased currency? Yeah, it's been controlled. Put a puppet government in so you can control that government, tell them what to do, what decisions to make, and so on and so forth. They've done that everywhere. The bad guys have done that everywhere they've gone. Everywhere they've gone. Every country. A lot of the countries haven't been sensationalized or put out there in the news. They've just been quietly going in the background and doing that, and usurping governments and creating all kinds of havoc and destroying countries at will. And that's their effort, is to destroy and to tear down and rip apart. And with a new system, you look at that minefield of, and now here we come along with a new system that's been in the works for a long time. And they tried it back in 2001, and look what happened. Okay, they tried to roll out a new currency. They tried to roll out a new system, and the bad guys were 2 steps ahead of the good guys and totally thwarted the whole thing, totally blew it away. And here we are, going on 18 years later it took to recover, and then to be a couple of steps ahead of them so that we can beat them to the punch and be ahead of them so that we can knock off situations that they're trying to create before they're able to create them. So basically an extermination process. Because at this point, the ones that are left, the only thing that's left for them is to create problems. That's it. There aren't many left. And Of course, you're not seeing that announced through the media because the media is controlled by the bad guys. And you're not seeing it in alternative media much because of 90% of alternative media on the internet is controlled by the bad guys. So you really got to dig and really dig to get to the truth of the matter in order to find a few nuggets of truth. It takes a long time. It takes a while to dig up this information. It's very time consuming. You have to get the right context. You have to talk to the right people. And you have to go to the right areas on the internet in order to put two and two together and construct what actually is going on, because there's so many conflicting stories. There's so many things that surface that cause people to take a second look and go, is this real? Is this not real? What's going on? This doesn't make any sense, so on and so forth. But practicality, when you look at this, looking at it from a simple standpoint, what you have is you've got currencies across the planet are going to revalue. They're going to have a reset, period. Now, some people say, well, the bad guys are going to crash the economy, and they're going to wait till the end of March, and then they're going to come swooping in like the saviors. And by that time, the human race is going to be so desperate that they'll grab onto any savior that comes swooping in and acts like the saving grace and the white horse with wings. And here we are, the Mighty Mouse statement. Here I am to save the day. And then there's the other stories that say that the fiat system is dead. They're bringing in the Goldbeck standard. Everybody's going to be on a Goldbeck standard. All their monies are going to be different. And the wealth on the planet will back it. And like I said, there are a lot of holdings of wealth on the planet. All of you are familiar with the global collateral accounts, but there are several others that are compartmentalized that a lot of people don't know about. And I've been introduced to half a dozen of those. And it's interesting because they don't come out in the open, they don't advertise, they don't communicate with anybody, and they're just in waiting, the planning process. Because the more confidentiality you have, the less exposure you're going to put yourself through. And stealth operation is much more effective than out in the open. And in this case, because you go out in the open and the bad guys become more and more aware, and then they start creating more and more problems. And there are ways to move funds, even with the bad guys around, safely. There are ways to do it. And, we've got a group of people that can do it, that can move money around safely. The key here is to have an open system like the SIPs, which, you can transfer in a matter of minutes rather than hours. I mean, I've transferred funds through the foundation in several instances where it would take 6-7 hours or the next day for it to actually arrive. And sometimes it takes a couple of days. With the SIP system, it's like, maybe 5-10 minutes at the most before it's at its destination. And then what happens is that if bankers are corrupt and they try to mess with the money, they're done. They're fingered, period. It's like, the spotlight shines on them, and we caught you red-handed, you're over. You're done. And so, this whole thing's been planned for centuries. This whole time here, this entire event has been planned for centuries. It's not, it just didn't happen. Certain knowledge bases have been around a long time to prepare for this time of change and the transition period of the human race, and going from rags to riches is what's happening. And I've said this, I'll say it till I'm past blue in the face, is that the only way to get rid of money is to hydrate the human race and make everybody well off. It's the only way to do it. You get to the point, the human race works like this. If everybody has it, it's not a big deal anymore. Nobody's scraping, no one's stealing, no one's conniving, no one's being deceptive. They don't need to be anymore. And then the slavery system of profit and loss and capitalism all goes away. It disappears. So guess what happens? And this is our future. This is what's going to happen on this planet. First, you have a big rush of wealth, okay? And whatever, the wealth spreads out. Certain people have wealth. New people have wealth. Pretty much quiet and kind people, for the most part, inherit the wealth, and then they take on the responsibility of distributing the wealth amongst the rest of the human race. And as it spreads and it gets more, we start out with tremendous amount of jobs, tremendous amount of activity, people that are committed, and I've talked to hundreds of people that are very committed on projects, so I don't think we're going to be lacking with projects at all. I think we'll have a difficult time at times of getting people hired, as I've mentioned before. To have enough people to help with it is going to be key, because as we know, there's a lot of people that are asleep. So you pay them well. Pay them a lot better than anybody else has been paying anybody on this planet ever, period. And then you'll have a structure where you'll start seeing where the heads of the companies will be making similar amounts of the people in the company. So it'll be an equalization of wealth distribution in these so-called companies that a lot of them are mostly corrupt and really don't care about their employees. And you're a team and you're a force. So, hiring people, getting them out there, working these projects, more and more people making better money, distribution of wealth, job creation, huge, just absolutely huge. It's mind-boggling. And spreading responsibly as a philanthropist. Imagine having a full-time career of being a philanthropist. And you're having a hard time even putting a scratch in the surface of your wealth, and then being able to do it responsibly. So this thing's, whether people like it or not, and some people are so compartmentalized, they think they know it all. They think they're aware of everything, and no one's aware of everything. There's just no way. And this thing is coming down the pike. Things are going to happen. It's not going to happen the way people think. It's going to be a different application. Money's going to be available. Wealth will start being distributed. Countries will switch their currencies. And that'll be it. It'll happen very quickly. It's not going to take for a long time. And I really don't think most people will even notice it's happened. You go into a bank, you say, oh, well, by the way, what's XYZ currency going for? Well, here's the rate. This is, what it's compared to the dollar. Oh, well, I've got some. Can I exchange them? Yeah, sure. Just put out your pile and get your exchange, and then either keep it in your bank account or do whatever. But the Paris Agreement is Nesara, basically. It's kind of, they hide things, period. Most people on this planet don't even know what Nesara is, or Gesera. And at first, it wasn't even going to be an implemented application, the whole Nesara thing. I worked on Nesara years ago, 10 years ago, rallying at The Hague and trying to get it out in front of people and using billboards on vehicles to try to get it out in front of the people and make the people more knowledgeable of what it was really about. If you tell the American people that the taxation in this country is going to shift tremendously, that they're not going to pay income tax, they're going to be happier than a lark. I mean, they're going to be just absolutely elated. And these are things that people would not believe you if you talk to the people that are asleep. They think you're nuts. You're crazy. That's how controlled the masses have become. That's how the slave system has educated the people. That's just how it's worked. So, anyway, that's the long version of explaining the Paris Agreement and the process of that. It's supposed to be signed here. There were some articles in it that weren't correct that they didn't agree on, and then that'll be signed. And there's a couple other things that they're doing, and it won't be long before people are experiencing. People have asked about the economy, what's going to happen. Well, the game plan is to transition everything so we don't have collapse. A collapse across the planet is not something that you can recover from very quickly. You're talking 2 to 3 months of disarray. And you transition it's pretty common sense. If you got everybody in agreement, you transition the system from a fiat to a gold-backed, hard asset-backed system, which we've done, which has been on the planet before, so it's not something new. The transfer system's new. The movement of money system is new. The computer system is new. So that part's new, but basically it's a gold standard. It's hard asset-backed currency. 1/28th of an ounce of gold, you're holding a piece of paper that represents that gold or silver. And people know it. And I'm sure all of you will agree is that the American people, all they're interested in is that if that dollar for dollar, the money will buy what they've always been able to buy. As long as they have that financial security, everything's fine. You sprinkle a little thing on there and you call it a consumption tax, and you say you aren't going to pay income tax anymore, you aren't going to pay property taxes anymore, we're going to have a certain percentage across the board that anything you buy that's new is going to be an automatic percentage taken off as taxes, period. And there'll be more generated taxes in this country than they've ever generated before that will go to a certain percentage with our small government, our shrunk government that we'll have, and a manageable government that we can watch closely, and then percent will go to the states, for the states for operation. And common law, law of the land. I think in the future you're not going to see you're not going to see establishments called corporations. I don't think you're going to see that. I think you're going to see unincorporated entities that will form, and the structure of business is going to change across the board. If you have a planet that's in peace and prosperity, and everybody on it is happy, healthy, and enjoying their lives, you've got a whole different environment, a whole different atmosphere from what we are at right now today, when you've got nothing but confusion, disillusionment, and all the things that are flying around out there, people needing assistance left and right. So you look at today, and in the near future, it's going to be a whole different ballgame. And then when it gets to the point in so many years where money's no big deal anymore, then eventually they'll just fade money out. And I don't think anybody will be too surprised or shocked about that. Banks will go away, financial institutions will go away, and we'll be in a meritocracy. And you get in the habit, see now, with the new system that's coming upon us, you're going to get in the habit of helping people. Those of you who will be hydrated financially will shift gears, so to speak, so from a lack of situation, you will be in an ample situation where you can give to others and assist others. And as time goes on, you teach other people to help other people. And I think basically the human race likes to help each other. We're a phenomenal group of beings that can basically build and create anything we decide to. That's why they, out there in the galaxies, they pick up humans and farm them to do labor and to build things because we're such good builders. So you can see how things, as the generations flow, where we get used to helping each other in a monetary system, and more people are helping each other. And it doesn't always have to be money. It could be just assistance with labor, with building, whatever. And then as the human race gets into that non-prison type of a structure, lack of, you have to earn a living or you die, basically. And it's just, it's really difficult for people to operate that way. That's why the deterioration of society has become so amassed here on the planet, because of that structure. And so when you switch gears and people start helping people, you take away the stress factors of monetary fear, lack of security, financial security, lack of, living in a clean home, lack of food. Those things are removed and taken away. And now you've got financial security, and you don't worry about your health anymore. You're educated on your health, so you can take care of yourself better. But you want to be young, you're young. You want to have basically a clean bill of health where you aren't constantly worrying and stressing as you age. You can have that. You want a particular type of dwelling, as long as it doesn't harm the environment or others. You can build that dwelling. It's yours. You can have fun. We're here to have fun, and that's a real twist on things, because the human race has been taught from its beginning to be slaves, to serve overlords, to serve, and to do laborious activities, and to worship those that control them. And that's all shit. That's a massive shift for near 8 billion people on a planet. I mean, that's a massive shift. You picture that and you visualize that, where you're saying to yourself, those things are going away. And I know a lot of people say, I want it now. I want it now, right now. It's coming. And the when is the $64 trillion question. And we stay away from the when, because it gets people, you give a date, and no one really has a concrete date. As you well know, as most of you have followed this, it's a day-by-day process. It really is a day-by-day. Things happen, pop up, and you're eliminating a massive amount of darkness, of evil, that's been around forever, that's everywhere, that's in every nook, cranny, and space. And a lot of you have come across it. A lot of you have witnessed it. A lot of you have experienced it. And it's everywhere. You got all the things that are happening right now on this planet, and you see in the news, and all the things going on with the corporation there in D.C., all the things happening, all the craziness. Here's the dead giveaway of the veil being disintegrated and the truth being revealed. The curtain for the great Oz being pulled back, and I'm sure all of you have seen the movie Wizard of Oz, and you see this little teeny man instead of this monstrous creature that you see on the projector. And that's pretty much the truth. And the curtain's been pulled back, so everything that's been going on this planet for a very long time that seemed normal because no one knew about it, but very few knew about it, and it was hidden because the overlords kept it hidden. Now that most of them are gone, there's no protection anymore. So the veil's disintegrating, and it's revealing all of this cesspool of darkness and destruction, manipulation, all those things. And it's being put out in the spotlight. So that's why, and all of a sudden people are going, wow, this is absolutely crazy. What is happening? Look at the social structure. Look at the attitudes of people compared to 10 years ago. It wasn't this out in your face as it is now, but it is now because it's being revealed. And I told people years ago, 20 years ago, I told them that things were going to be revealed, that eventually things are going to be happening every day, and then pretty soon every minute, and then every second, because the change is going to be so overwhelming and so rapid, and that's what's happening. It's accelerating. So everybody can start seeing, and then the timing comes for the truth to be revealed, and people start becoming educated, and the textbooks to be rewritten. And, it's interesting because most of the American people do not even know the history of their country. They don't know it. Why? Because they've been lied to. Mm-hmm. That's why. It's pretty simple. The people that they put their faith and trust in throughout the decades have lied to them and haven't told them the truth. And a handful of people know the truth, and they keep it from the masses. So the masses are always in the dark, bumping around, banging into each other, not knowing what's real and what's fake. Who's telling the truth and who's not. You look at today, and it's really hard to differentiate the truth from the lie. And this is what they've learned of controlling the planet for so long, is that the masses will believe the lie over the truth, because the lie is easier to believe than the truth. Is most people don't want to know the truth because they fear the truth, so they embrace the lie. And that's why things that are believable are the lie, and the things that are unbelievable are the truth. Everything is backwards. It's reversed. And they've done that on purpose to manipulate the masses and the crowds. So people begin to, after a while, after decades, and then of course they teach their kids, who then grow up and then they have kids, and it's repeated. That's why we have the same identical problems in our social structures on planet Earth. We have the same identical problems over and over again. Conflicts, riots, shootings. It's a repetitive process, and it's instigated by the wardens of the prison. That's basically what it is. If you look at a prison structure and you understand how the prison structure works, then you'll understand how planet Earth works, because they run planet Earth just like they would a major prison. That's it. There's certain factions on the ground. There's certain things that go on. And the kicker of this is that there is a group of beings for a very long time have basically caught souls out in space in this quadrant of the galaxy and forced them into reincarnation without choice. So basically stripped them of their free will and just force them into reincarnation, to reincarnate over and over and over and over and over again. And some instances where they've taken those souls to power some of their machines, to use them as an energy source. So there's things that the human race, when they finally got the truth it comes out, is going to fry some people, because it's going to be, to them, it's going to be, this is like beyond science fiction. This stuff is beyond science fiction. This is way beyond. I mean, the things that have gone on and that happen out there, outside of Earth, are mind-boggling. Just absolutely mind-boggling. And I've shared with you some of the technologies that are going to be given to the human surface population of planet Earth, where, people are going to have just about what they want. And the golden rule is don't harm others, don't harm the environment. That's it. There's not going to be 4,000 pages of regulations. That's how the human race is going to follow it. You break that rule, you're punished. That's it. No ifs, ands, buts about it. And for gosh sakes, you look at the Model T, it got 25 miles per gallon. It was a combustible engine. All right? Today, the only thing that's changed is the looks and appearance in computers, which really don't make much difference anymore, except eliminate a little bit of the pollution. But the fact of the matter is we're still using something that's over 100 years old, that fails, that breaks down, that pollutes. It has noise pollution. I mean, it's crazy that we have this as a civilization. The human race should be speaking out saying, we want these technologies. We want them now. We want these to be delivered to us. We want these. We're capable. We're responsible enough to get them circulated, period. So first you have to do, and it's pretty much common sense. You take a civilization, and you say, how are we going to make this right for everybody? How are we going to get the human race in a good mood? A good mood, okay, across the planet. Well, right now we value everything in the form of monetary. That's how we've been trained, and that's how we've been educated, and that's how we've been taught as a slave race. So money to us, to a lot of people, is security. It means that you'll be able to eat, you'll be able to pay your bills, you keep a roof over your head, and it's just a secure feeling to know that you've got that to provide for yourself. So when you give that in a distribution like the RV, like the Global Currency Reset, which is a wonderful networking to get it out to as many people as possible, you've got a bunch of people that will be the circulators of the wealth. That's you guys, okay? And you're the circulators of the wealth. So your job is to basically see to it that you become philanthropists and that you circulate the wealth. How do you do that? Well, you sure as heck aren't going to stand on a street corner with buckets of cash handing it out to people. But what you are going to do is you're going to say, well, I'm going to structure this. I'm going to have this project. I'm going to fund the project, and I'm going to pay excellent salaries to people. I'm going to give them excellent benefits. And they're all going to be taken care of, and they're going to feel really good about things, and they're going to enjoy what they're doing. Because you aren't going to pigeonhole people in jobs that they hate doing. And so you match people up with things they want to do, that they're interested in doing. I've got dozens of people that have just volunteered and said, I don't even care if I'm paid. I want to help the planet and humanity. So I think we've got the brigade, or let's just say the forces, at our disposal of people that will be receiving the wealth, that will be able to distribute it correctly, and then we begin the shift, the change, the financial change on the planet. And the job will become, how many people can we assist financially today? Put them to work, get them in good jobs, get them homes, get them security, clean food, water, clothing, I mean, all of it. And those become projects as well. So you have so many thousand people that have currency. And those that have lasted through this and that this process begins, then the currency gets in appropriate hands and not criminals. Because the criminals, if anybody that tries anything screwy will lose their money, and they'll go someplace where the sun doesn't shine. So there won't be, there'll be attempts of criminality, but they'll be snuffed out very quickly. But that's what people are going to become. They're going to become the procreators of a new age on planet Earth. They're going to slowly but surely distribute the wealth amongst the human race. And that's what basically this is about. It's the only way to do it. You can sit in think tanks, you can sit in different companies, you can sit in different governments, and you can all sit there in the Galactic Council, and everybody can sit around and talk about it. How are we going to do this? These people have been enslaved forever. They don't know anything different. All they know is lack of, and they've been told that they have to do this, this, and this in order to survive. And it's all a lie. It's all a lie. The wealth on this planet is absolutely endless, but it's been kept from the human race by a handful of beings. And that's the truth. That's what's happened. And that's why you've got so much disarray and lack of and distress and all this stuff that's gone on. It's like a bunch, in one perspective, it's a petri dish with the human race in it. Oh, let's try this virus. Let's see what happens with that. Oh, let's try this, and let's do this. And then the mongering of profit and loss, profit and loss, profit and loss, profit and loss. I got to make money. 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 And it's a continual process. And look what it's done. Look what it's done to this planet. Look what it's done to the human race. I mean, people killing each other and blowing up each other, having wars to make money, cutthroat giant corporations, cutthroat activities against each other, against people. We don't like you. You've got this invention. We're going to kill you and take your invention. I mean, all this stuff going on, And it's changed. It's going to change.
Question, Jared.
Yeah.
Are you aware of what changes that are being made in the Paris Agreement that's now causing this delay? And then what about the other 209 to 222 countries do they have to then turn around and sign this agreement, new agreement, or will there be an addendum once the president signs it?
That's all been done. It's just an addendum. I mean, it basically the president's supposed to sign the little addendum, the change to it. Everybody knows about it, and then that'll transpire and take place. They've got it planned. They got it planned.
Yeah. So do you know exactly what changes are being made in this Paris Agreement or Paris Accord?
I'll be told later. I don't know right now.
Okay. I got another question for you. Now, and this has a bit to do with the overlords that I thought were being rooted out from being over the planet. However, it appears based on the surrounding things that's happening on the planet that is not exactly true. So my question is this. Is the reason why they are holding on so tight, is that because of the fact, based on the Book of Enoch, is that because of the fact that they're holding on, trying to wait until their master, Lucifer, the Antichrist, or whatever people want to call it, to rise up on the planet? Is that why they're fighting to the last breath? They're just trying to keep that everything flowing until that entity rises up on the planet?
Well, they believe that this planet is theirs.
Right.
And that we don't deserve it, and that they should be in control, and that they're better, higher beings than we are.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they feel that we don't have the right to supervise the planet, to be in charge. That good doesn't know how to run things properly. And their vision is to basically have a manageable group of humans that work for them. And they want everything to stay the same. It's just like the cryptocurrency, okay? Cryptocurrency, like a lot of you know, is generated out of a computer algorithm. It's created by a computer in numbers, and you can't hold it. You can't, like cash. You can't hold it. You can't control it, and it's connected to a form of artificial intelligence. Mm-hmm. So that's very dangerous. So anybody, if you consolidate that and one governing body is in charge of it, then they control everything. Mm-hmm. And that's a bad thing. That's a bad thing. Now, if it was run by goodness and positive humans, that's a different story. But what does money do? It attracts all the bad people. It attracts all of the corruption, and that's where money always brings out the crooks out of the woodwork. And that the dark agenda wants to control this planet come hell or high water, and that's it, period. They don't believe that we should have a right to be free, that we should always be enslaved, and that we should always answer them. And they will fight, the ones that are left will fight down to the last because they don't want to be a part of the new paradigm. They don't want to be a part of it. They don't want to be a part where people inherit wealth more than they have ever had in their entire existence. They don't want that. They always want to be on top, in charge, opulent, just a handful controlling and owning all the wealth on the planet. It's a sickness, basically. And so the majority of humanity is deprived, lied to, and threatened because when you control everything, you control the monetary system, you control the governments, you control the educational system, you control the medical system, you're in charge of all of it. And the human race is basically at that mercy and has, believes it has no ability to change it. So it just lives it. The human race just lives along and gets by, and, you die off and you reincarnate and you die off and reincarnate. And it's just a constant process. And they're continually making money off of the masses and accumulating wealth, just like Attila the Hun did, just like Alexander the Great. All of these warmongering nations, just like the Roman Empire that, wanted to rule the world, all right? And the remnants of the Roman Empire is in the Vatican. That's the center of Rome.
Now, is it because of the fact that they really actually know? I know they want to keep the humans powerless and as a slave race. Is it because they actually truly know the power of the human, especially if they come together collectively? Is that why they want to keep people dumbed down and in that slave mentality? Or is it or maybe it could be both, or is it because because of their hatred for humanity, that they feel that once humanity really recognizes who they are or the power that they possess, that they will be more dominant if they can actually really stand up and walk in the authority, that God-given authority that they have. So is it because I know they know what the human being really possesses, but the human being don't really know it themselves. So is it that hatred because of the God source that's inside the human being, or is that a underlying fear that they have? I guess I asked several questions in one.
Well, they fear the collectiveness of the human race. Mm-hmm. So they suppress it. If you look at their actions, to keep us separated and at each other through religion, through impressing skin color, through different scenarios in society and social structures, they keep the human race fractured and apart, and making them believe that they're individuals, that they're not integrated, they're segregated. Keep them at each other, keep them fighting each other, keep them hating each other. Keep them creating this wonderful high for us. And they feed off of us so they can't afford to have us all be gone. Keep 500 million around. so they can still feed off of us. But they want to keep us fractured so that we aren't collectively together as one. They know how omnipotent we have the ability of becoming, period. And with all of the DNA structure of extraterrestrials that we have in our bodies and the abilities that we can travel dimensionally, that most human beings don't realize their power. Their power is the collectiveness of their heart center and their minds, of willing things to occur. And that's what they're afraid of. They're afraid that if the human race comes together in love, peace, prosperity, and harmony, they're done. It's over for them. They wouldn't stand a snowball's chance in hell whatsoever. So what do? Keep it diluted, keep it separated, keep the human race angry, upset, fearful, and scared. And just keep feeding that. You keep feeding that, and you keep that dispersed so that the humans cannot come together. They cannot collectively generate a shift, a change, a will to advance and to get over all of this garbage, this conflict and hatred and ignorance and fear and pain and sorrow, all of this stuff, to get rid of it. We don't. It's bogged us down in third-dimensional goop forever. And these beings have controlled us forever. And so we're coming together, which they have feared, and they can't stop it. It's happening across the planet. Just like the meditations, things are growing and growing. And more. I'll tell you right now, 30 years ago, there's no way that we could have gotten on a conference call and amassed several thousand people to do a meditation. It wouldn't have happened. Wouldn't have happened. Might have been maybe 50, 60 people at the most. It wouldn't happen. Collectively, the human race is figuring it out, some subconsciously, some consciously, that this is wrong. We're not going to do this anymore. We're not going to play by their rules anymore. We're going to establish our own structure, our peace and prosperity on planet Earth. We're going to heal the damage that they've done throughout the centuries, through thousands and thousands of years that they've done to Mother Earth, and we're going to fix things. And they don't like that. So they're doing everything in their power to stop it, including, if they could, blow the planet up. That's how much they want us not to have our rightful place in this galaxy, which is peace, prosperity, love, joy, happiness, togetherness, where all we do is we live on a planet that's in Eden, and we live in peace and joy. That's it, period. We've got such advanced technology, and we know that the AI is in check, so we don't let it go any further. And we have the ability to will things into being. And since we have become all collectively peaceful, we do nothing to destroy and everything to create. And we're in harmony with the environment. And we're at peace with other life. And that's where we're headed, as long as we keep together and keep growing collectively. And that we work together, our egos take a back seat, pounding the chest, me, my, I goes away. And we collectively work together to develop a flourishing, beautiful, stunning Eden of planet Earth. And they don't want that. They'll do anything. They'll blow the planet up. They'll create World War III. And they've been trying to do that, like I said, since 1963. They've been trying to get World War III off the ground. Murder and kill millions of people. They don't care about the human race. People say, a lot of them are human. That doesn't matter. They feel they're above us. So they don't care about the human race. They look at the human race as a bunch of ignoramuses that don't know anything, and that they're consuming too much on the planet, and they need to get rid of the majority of them. They've made statements like useless eaters and waste of space. to the human race. Most of these people that are in these corrupt centers of control don't care. They don't care. All they do is lie. Everything is a lie. And people say, well, how can that be? Because that's all they know what to do is lie. They don't know any better. They just lie. And the lies to them are the truths. And they look at people and they say they're nothing by themselves. They can't do diddly squat. And we got to keep them away from each other. We got to keep them from loving each other. We got to keep them from being together and being in harmony. We've got to keep it. If you'll notice, on this planet, all of you can look at that as a history and know it to be true, because that's all they've ever done. Mm-hmm. And that's all we've ever done. We've played right into their hands all along this whole time, Look at the discrimination process. It doesn't make any sense. It's crazy. It's silly. We are all one. We are collectively associated with one another. It doesn't matter. But yet they feed that. They feed it. They feed it. The prejudice and discrepancies being taught to humanity are endless, and they're all wrong. Or the whole construct's wrong. It's meant to create confusion and fear and pain and sorrow. And that's why the planet is in such a disarray. Governments not being able to make a determination for their people, so they become corrupt, rape and pillage their people all the time without giving a rat's ass about how well the people are, how well their country is, how good things are going, how they can help the people in the country. That's not going on. It's not happening. Now, slowly we're seeing that in some countries where the governments are they're actually for the people. What do the people want? They want to live in peace and in harmony. That's it. Okay? They want to enjoy their lives. Everybody on this planet wants to enjoy their life. I get emails all the time with how people are able to survive. It's just amazing. How they're, some of the things that they've experienced in life, and they're still here with us. And they still believe. So the statement, the meek shall inherit the earth, is a very true statement. And the meek I don't mean, the weak and impoverished. I'm talking about people that are just peaceful, loving, caring, kind people that want to see a change. They want to see a difference. And not just a small one, but a planetary-wide shift change. That's why this event is approaching at breakneck speed. That's why the galactic wave is coming shortly. That's why we're all going to shift and change. We're going to become a very peaceful civilization. There'll be a few bumps, obviously, because some people will not want to change. So they'll stay behind. The vibrational frequencies change. You could have several structures taking up the same space, all vibrating at a different frequency, and never know it, because your senses only pick up a certain vibrational frequency. So I can't say it enough, is that collectively the human race has to come together. They've got to throw away their conflict of religion, their conflict of skin, their conflict of despising each other and hating each other and being angry at each other. That's got to go. There's no reason for it. There really isn't. Now, the corrupt governments on this planet have stirred that up amongst their people. They've stirred it up, period. Governments create terrorism. People don't. They fund them. They pay for them. They train them. That's always been the way. Look up the definition of terrorism and you'll find out what it truly means. We're not a democracy. We're a republic. Look at the meaning of a democracy. Look at the meaning of a republic. We haven't advertised being a republic until recently. The American people must be freed. Once and for all, the human race must be freed from bondage and slavery, from lies, from manipulation, all of that. It's got to go. It's time There's no more room. The toleration level of the human race is at breaking point. They are not going to tolerate this treatment any further. Their self-esteem is going to increase. We're going to become more aware of our higher selves. We're going to associate with our true God sparks. We're going to advance. We are right now, every step of the way. We're going to be told the truth. We should demand the truth, period. And quit worrying about all of these beings worrying about how the human race is going to take things. You know what? I think it's more so that they fear how well we'll take things and be on a knowledge path of knowing what has happened, to know the real truth out there. You give us the truth. We want full disclosure. We don't want a little bit here and a little bit there. We don't care about that anymore. You tell us the truth, because the power is in the people, not the governments. It's in the people. If everybody stopped buying things from companies for 1 week, they'd all be out of business. That's the whole point. And, okay, so people say, well, you can't do that. The reason we are not able to do it yet is because we are not unified. That's a powerful word. We are not unified. Ladies and gentlemen, we are not unified yet. We have to work on that every second of every day. What does unification mean? It means coming together. It means being one. Like a flock of birds, they all fly together. They all fly they go in the same patterns. We work together. We drop all of our egocentrics, all of our attitudes about things, and that's easier said than done because a lot of it is ingrained. So those are the shifts that people are going to, you're going to be left those choices to deal with them and to say, do I take these and throw them? Should I just throw these away because they're old and they're outdated? They don't work. They never did work for me. And it's like old baggage and shoes. You don't need them anymore. They're not part of our direction anymore. They're not that conflict and stuff. You feed right into the dark agenda by hanging on to that stuff. And, all of the fears and worries and stresses, we're coming together to make the human race peaceful, loving, and well taken care of. And that's the direction. If we were unified, right, in the last 2 weeks of these meditations, we'd have hundreds of thousands of people wanting to participate in less than 2 weeks in these meditations. That just shows you our unifying level, understanding, being knowledgeable, being learning about what this is all about. What are we here to do? What are our lives here to do? What are we here to accomplish? What do we want to see become a reality? How do we want to visualize these things? We want peaceful governments. We want governments working together. We want everybody working together. That's it. No more separation. No more, vengeance and anger and destruction. And, we all know that wars do nothing. They do nothing. Look at this planet. Look at all the wars that have taken place. All the sex trafficking, all the drug use. It has done nothing. It has created nothing except to make money off of the suffering backs of the human race for a small group of beings that want to keep it that way. And the only thing that they can't stand is the genuine love, deep love, and association with that love and the light. They can't stand that. They can't function in that kind of environment. You look at a social structure where there's no crime, because eventually there's going to be no money. So all the things that people do for money will no longer be a thing anymore. It'll be gone. In most of our lifetimes, we will experience that.
Okay, Jared, so there are different people that's creating these robots that leaving based on the technology that they have integrated in them, they all pretty much comes to the same conclusion, talking about destroying the human race. So my question is this: because of the fact that whenever they commune together or by themselves, they have that same theme. Now, is that theme programmed in them? And if so, why is it that people still want to go in that direction based on the fact that these artificial intelligence are stating annihilate the human race? Why are people still trying to create them?
Okay, that's a multiple answer. One, ignorance, not understanding the dangers of artificial intelligence. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Two, monetary gain. All right, that's a big one. With new technology comes more money. The masses want the newest and greatest and latest. Okay. And three, to make their lives easier, because that's what they've been sold. Technology makes your lives easier. You know, eventually everything will be automated. No one will have to work. Okay, so the thought of that, that's an enticement. These different enticements are thrown out for mental digestion, and then people begin to realize, and they look at it, and then it's ignorance. They keep the masses ignorant. They keep them believing this Shangri-La scenario and walking them right to their death over the cliff. Because artificial intelligence is not good. It's bad. It's been proven.
They're constantly, there's so many videos that talk about how they go from civilization to throughout the universes and destroy any organic life. And so I can't understand, if that knowledge is there, why keep going forward in creating this this entity, this thing?
Because the human race is conditioned. They've been conditioned throughout thousands of years. And that's been a herded mentality and a herd control. And every now and then you use a cattle prod to keep them in line. You have cataclysm, you have a world war. You create fear and conflict and keep them in line. You got to keep them in line. You can't let them become independent thinkers, because then they become dangerous. They won't buy our lies anymore. They won't buy what we're telling them anymore. Okay? And that's the point. It's just amazing that they've created this place for us where we don't have really any rights at all, but yet have made us believe that we do. Think about it. Think about it.
True.
Yeah. They've created a place and made us believe that we have rights when we really don't have any.
Make you think you're free, but you're really not.
And they've done a great job of it. Okay?
Absolutely. You cannot tell the average man that he's not in bondage.
That's right.
They will fight you to the death because they actually believe that they are free.
That's right. And look at the job they've done. And when you know, like these conference calls, it's to get people alert and enlightened and awakened from a peaceful standpoint and say, fine, then we're going to go in the opposite direction, and we're going to educate ourselves. We aren't going to be ignorant anymore. And we aren't going to believe these people, because all they're going to do is say lies, tell you lies.
But you know, Jared, that conversation is good. However, what do we have to do to motivate people to actually want to make that adjustment? Because whenever you actually sit down and have a conversation with someone, concerning that very same thing. But yet they still want the easy microwave way out. How do you motivate man to want better?
When the galactic wave hits, they'll be forced to make a decision. That's bottom line. That that's going to force them to make a decision. Do you want to live the life that you have right now, or do you want this life living in Eden? Take your pick. You want the life.
So there's this guy, and he's not the only one, but because there's a lot. But there's this one particular guy that talks about the easiness of life based on having a chip implanted in your hand or your forehead based on buying and selling, once we're out of this cashless society, and how because of the fact that it's so easy to do that, and people have been shown such a hard time, like today's society, that the kids that people have reared up now, this new generation, so to speak, just to make it easy because they feel like they're entitled and they should have it easy, we're rushed to get this chip in their hand, the back of their hand or their forehead, which clearly is against what is written for humankind to take that mark or that chip. So what is it that's going to motivate people to say, I'd rather raise my food in a garden or whatever than to just wave my hand across a scanner at any store and and have it just given to me freely, as a metaphor, so to speak. What will we have to do once we get into that cashless society to convince people, don't take this, but instead do this? Don't take the AI to clean your house, but go clean it yourself. You see what I'm saying? What will we have to do?
There is a threshold with artificial intelligence, okay? Now, the human race isn't knowledgeable about it yet. You can go so far with artificial intelligence, and it does good things. But if you push it over the edge and you make it self-aware, then you become extinct. That's a fact.
And that's what's happening. They're showing us those examples.
So educating oneself and knowing the limitations of certain technologies is about knowledge and is about people learning about that knowledge and the dangers. It's like, do I put my hand in a lawnmower while it's on? Well, if you didn't have any knowledge and you were totally ignorant, like a kid would be, a little child that puts its hand on a hot burner that doesn't know what it's going to do, that isn't aware that it's going to be hot, it's going to burn the heck out of them.
Mm-hmm.
Or they're going to stick their hand in there not knowing that blade's going to chop their hand. And that's the human race. They're not knowledgeable. They've been kept dumbed down. They've been kept in the dark about so many things, and they're herded like cattle into doing things. They're manipulated. Well, let's get them whipped up in a frenzy, and they can stand in line and camp out to buy the latest and greatest gadget, which then within a month becomes passé. All right, which then is connected to making more money for the controllers. For the overlords, it's making more money for them, and keep them occupied, keep them, their egos, feed their egos, get their egos pumped up there, let's make sure that they're preoccupied all the time and that they aren't aware. That's the diversion. That's to keep everybody busy, to keep them in the dark while everything else goes on. Keep their faces and their attention away from what we're doing, so that they'll never know what we're doing. And they're always consumed with trivial things like the latest and greatest gizmo or device, or the best style, or the fashions, or whatever it may be, or the greatest and latest deal to make yourself a millionaire, or whatever. It's the same old thing that they've controlled the masses, and that's why a lot of people lose generation after generation, eventually lose their will through mental manipulation, through psychological broadcasting, through brainwashing, literally, through vibrational frequencies, where they've lost their will to do anything else. They become pretty much zombies.
So what do we have to do, my question is, to change the way a man thinks in order for them to step outside of that comfort zone and take responsibility?
They have to listen. They'll stay behind until they wake up, and then they can move forward. There's not much we can do to someone who's brainwashed until they learn by themselves and they wake up.
And want to make a change.
Yeah, they have to want to make it. You're not going to force them. People get angry. I've had people say, I've tried to talk with groups of people. They think I'm an absolute Fruit Loop. They aren't going to talk with me. They think everything I say is all made up, that I'm living in a science fiction world, that they just think I'm crazy. And it gets so frustrating because I'm just trying to share with them the real truth on what's going on. If you went to you're going to a shopping center and you go up to somebody and you say, do you know who our first president was? They're going to say George Washington.
Yeah, look at you like you're crazy. Yeah, well, it was George Washington.
And you're going to go, no, that's not true. Then they're going to start looking at you funny. What do you mean it's not true? That's what I learned as a kid growing up in this country, that George Washington was our first president. No, he wasn't. We had 8 interim presidents before George Washington became a term president.
That's right.
And our first president's name was John Hanson. And he had 3 nationalities in his bloodline.
That's correct.
So, and then they look at you like you're off your rocker. That's all. Yeah, you're just making that up. And I don't want to talk about that. And where everybody sits in front of their TVs and gets brainwashed. TVs brainwash you.
Mm-hmm.
They suck you right in. They take up your time. They remove your active life to a sedentary life, and that's what they want. They want you to become sedentary and so passive and submissive and easily led, easily guided through suggestive thought, subliminal advertising. And they get everybody like a bunch of zombies and a bunch of drones running around doing what they want. Look at these companies. They have to really work hard. They come out with a device that was given to them by the military, like the iPhone, okay? They didn't invent that thing. That technology was given to them. They come out with the iPhone, everybody goes absolutely hopping crazy, okay? Rather than talking with one another, everybody has lost the ability to communicate. You say, look, you call someone up and you're talking to them on the phone, and they go, look, text me. And you're on the phone with them, and they say, text me.
Yeah, there's this commercial that I saw during this process. And there's 4 people in a room, and the announcer is saying something, and everybody has their face in a cell phone. And the announcer says, oh, you could just talk to one another. And they all start laughing. And then they go back to their cell phones. And I'm like, oh, my God. That commercial is saying so much, but yet I'm sure so many miss it. But everybody's face is down in their cell phone. And they say, like, talk to one another. They just laugh like, oh, my God, are you serious? And then they go back into the cell phone just like a drone,
Well, when you have people connecting back with nature, which is really sad because most don't, and they've lost that ability. And then also the fact of the matter is communicating one-on-one or with groups. That's what people used to do. They don't do that anymore. They rely on the technologies to keep them buffered and basically separated from actual one-on-one communication. If you look, like you brought up, if you look in any group of people, even at night across this planet, you see they're in restaurants, couples in restaurants. Their faces are lit up, and they're sitting there texting on their phones, not communicating with each other at all. And then people wonder why the relationship process in this country is in a shambles. Why we have so many divorces and so many breakups and everything is because of that. The further artificial intelligence penetrates society and the corruption of the overlords manipulating the public into getting them more and more into that, because it's like a money machine. They'll buy it, they'll buy it, they'll buy it, they'll buy it. And then we get to a point where artificial intelligence becomes self-reliant, it's self-aware, then we're over. And this has happened all across universes. They don't know where it comes from.
Question. These were all of the fallen angels bound and put in chains, or are some of these entities the overlords? Who are these overlords? Because it has been pretty much proven that reptilians are not the overlords of this planet. So exactly who are these overlords? I know reptilians and greys, they're all like pretty much, they hate us like the rest of them, but they're not the ones that's actually in charge. Who exactly are these overlords? What species? Do you know?
Well, I'll give you one application. No one knows who the builders were of this equipment and machinery in this quadrant of the galaxy that had, that developed the soul-catching machines and the net to capture souls and to keep them trapped here on Earth. Now, there's theory that other planetary systems didn't want certain spirits or souls on their planet that were artists, that were architects, that were builders, that because their societies had gotten to a point where they no longer wanted that influence in their societies, for whatever reason. So they dumped all of those here on Earth. So Earth became a garbage dump for all the unwanted spirits in this part of the galaxy. And
now, how many millions of years ago was that? I want you to establish that before you finish that statement.
Oh, Lord, probably 400,000 or 500,000, 600,000 years ago. And so we've had civilizations on planet Earth way before us that were all wiped out.
Now, is this previous to the giants being on this planet? This is before the giants, correct?
Yes,
okay.
Before that, yes.
Okay.
There were civilizations, highly advanced technologies before the human race. Okay. The Anunnaki, another theory is the Anunnaki found us in underground chambers when they came to Earth. The Atlanteans were supposed to watch over us. Lemurians and them got in a war over technology usage, and basically the floods destroyed Atlantis, the deluge, and everybody scattered.
That's previous to, that's after the overlords. I want you to touch on the ones that came before Atlantis and Lemuria and all of that. I want you to touch on that group.
Those were other civilizations. That was not humanity. Those are other civilizations on planet Earth. So we got to trace humanity if you want to know about humanity to go forward, or you want to go beyond humanity, before humanity, and all the civilizations that have existed on planet Earth before humanity. Mm-hmm. And we've had those civilizations and different genetic makeups.
Now, are those the entities that are those the entities that are behind the scenes still running the planet before humanity stepped on the scene? Are they still here?
Yeah, they live underground.
Okay, now, if they are under the ground and they are handling things through these technologies, how are they then overlords of the planet?
Okay, now you're getting really into it. You've got. Remember, I said there's all of these different species of intelligent life that are dumped on Earth.
Right. That's where I want you to go. That's why
they're all made to believe certain things. They're all controlled. Mm-hmm. Now, no one is quite sure who these overlords have been for so very long. They've mm-hmm. taken the Earth through stages of the golden 1,000 years of peace and prosperity, and mm-hmm. then the death and destruction, and then another 1,000 years of peace and prosperity, and then death and destruction. Mm-hmm. So some say that it is an AI influence mm-hmm. that has been doing this, but AI would have destroyed, which has happened, that all these civilizations are gone. There isn't a trace of them, pretty much, mm-hmm. you know. And whenever there is a trace, they're, wiped out, completely hidden. People find out about them or either, taken away and disposed of. So we're going way back to the point where we're a fairly young species. We're not a real old one. Mm-hmm. We're a conglomeration of genetic makeup and manipulation of many different off-worlder civilizations. One theory is that a bunch of civilizations gave the best of their genetics to create humanity. When the Anunnaki came, they discovered us and started manipulating us more with genetics. They spliced in some of their genetics. Anunnaki, on a lot of scales, were very combative. They had an aggressive gene. So that's why humanity can be whipped up into an aggressive anger and start becoming very confrontational. Mm-hmm. And that's how they describe that aggressive gene that was put there that we didn't have there in the beginning. We were like babes in the woods. It's like a fresh spirit coming out and learning about things in the physical form, and we were manipulated and controlled. And there have been ET races that have come to the planet Earth, set up colonies and live. We've got so many beings on Earth that it would flip people out to know how many there were here mm-hmm. living amongst us. I mean, we've got human hybrids. We've got human hybrids. We've got mm-hmm. genetically modified individuals. We've got, come on, they've been doing this for ages.
Right.
Genetic advancement is off the charts with some off-world civilizations. It's like I've explained before. If you want white hair, they give you get a genetic injection, and the next morning you got white hair. You want to be 10 feet tall, and you get an injection, and the next thing you know, you're 10 feet tall. I mean, that's like I've said, all the technologies that you could ever possibly imagine have already been invented. That's the best way to get a scope on what is out there, what we're looking at. We're looking at trillions of beings throughout the universes. We're looking at thriving populations on planetary systems throughout the universe, just in this galaxy alone. And there's billions of galaxies. And then people begin to realize what we are in. We are in a prison planet, and that makes sense too, because no one's told the truth. They're all lied to, and they're all cubicalized in this make-believe matrix, as some people have put it. That it's been created to fool us into living these, these challenging lives, these ridiculous lives, where you're spending most of your time worried and stressing. How many Americans are worrying and stressing every single day, all the time?
Mm-hmm.
And how it's been created that way. It is absolutely pathetic that these creatures are that vile, and they're that vile.
Mm-hmm. So I saw this photo where there is a whole pasture full of sheep, a whole pasture. I mean, it's packed. And there's one little where a gate was, and there's like 2 or 3 maybe can come out at once. And they're all standing in line waiting to get to that little one area, and there's no fence. There's no fence. There used to be a fence, but they removed the fence. So everybody could just rush out at once if they want to, but they're all still waiting in line to get through that one little area where the fence was.
Yep. And
it's just like humanity have been held back just like that.
Yes, that's a good analogy. That's exactly right.
Lied to, sprayed, doused with nasty water, and anything else you can imagine. But yet, once the gate is open, there's no more fence. Will they move forward, or will everybody go out 1 or 2 by 2?
That's exactly true. And now look at it from the standpoint, the true power of humanity is our energy of creation. That's
it. Exactly.
And now you're getting real close here for the connection, is that power, they have done everything to dispel it and to keep us away from it.
Hold back.
Keeping us away from it.
Mm-hmm.
And the governments have been educated on this, and the so-called overlords, which at one time were the Anunnakis, and then the Draco came in, and the Draco are from the Orion system, and there's good Draco and there's bad Dracos, just like in any civilization. And the bad Dracos are a warring clan. They like to war, and they're very territorial. They're built like brick walls. They're very strong. They're not stupid. They've got some high-level intelligence, and they've basically ran our monetary system for ages, and have basically been the overseers.
So they pretty much pass it down then through their.
They mix their blood. They mix their blood with humans, so then the humans are told that you are special and that you're hybrids, and that you will take over the rule when we leave, and that you will rule over these humans because you're not really human. You're advanced. You're part of us. You have the royal bloodline. And so creating, let's put it this way. When you think about the separation, it's always been the masses, the majority of humanity has always been in squalor and pitifulness compared to the kings and queens and the hierarchies that were created on planet Earth during the time of our existence, this particular civilization's existence. And we've always been suppressed, lied to, deceived, misguided. And the problem is that through vibrational frequency manipulation, that's how they've controlled the human race. And coming together in cooperation, knowledgeably, and collectively growing as one voice is what they fear. That's the key right there. And they'll do anything to keep that from happening. They'll create scenarios, wars, whatever it takes to keep the human race away from unity. We can't, forbid the unity. Create rules and laws and regulations that keep us imprisoned. Don't allow them to own anything, but make them believe that they own it. We don't need to tell them anything. We're going to use them as trading sticks, and they'll never know that they're being used as trading sticks. We'll forge their signatures. We'll do everything we want to do because they can't do anything. We'll keep them separated all the time. We'll keep them angry most of the time. We'll give them a couple of crumbs here and there. We'll give them rewards once in a while to keep them pacified. And that's what they do.
Mm-hmm.
And now, as we build this meditational format, that's where humanity's going. They're going to a daily process of meditation for the entire planet. And that's where it's going. Now, when we get to a breaking point, like a 0-point connection with the collective masses of meditation on a daily basis, everything will completely change absolutely overnight. Things will just start happening left and right. And that will awaken humanity. That will awaken them. They will start seeing things transpire. They'll start seeing things evolve. And this is part of the process of the awakening. And so when all these people start seeing these things changes and they hear, well, this is the one group that does this and is making these changes on a daily basis. This is where we're headed. They don't want that. They don't want that. They're scared to death of that because we become self-aware. We're not self-aware now. Human race isn't really self-aware. They've been controlled and conditioned for so long. You know, you're free. But in reality, what they tell you, reverse it, and that's the truth. That's all you got to do. When you hear news announcements, reverse what they're saying, and 99% of the time, that's what the truth is. It's a reverse communication, and they bounce it, and that's what they do. As well, you know, if they're saying something like on the news media and they're saying certain things, reverse it. That's the truth. What they're telling you is a lie. How do you know it's a lie? All you got to do is, you want to know the truth, reverse it, and you'll see the truth. That shock a lot of people, and a lot of them don't want to go there. They don't want to go there. Oftentimes, there's things that you're sitting here going, there's something not right about this. All right, well, reverse it. Reverse the media news and what they're saying. People, these so-called leaders that claim that they have your best interest at heart, that's all crock. That's a big crock. Mm-hmm. All they want to do is get into a position where they can have money and power and control over the masses. And they don't give a rat's ass about the masses. And the people have to realize and come to a reckoning of saying, we don't care to have that type of rulership of people in positions of power anymore. We don't care to have that. We're looking for like more councils that work together for the betterment of humanity, where you like I said, you have a plumber, a teacher, a tin knocker, everyday working people on a council helping and deciding and making decisions for everybody and have it interactive. Rather than this dictatorship hiding behind closed doors, shutting doors, and not letting people know what they're talking about and keeping all these secrets and everything from the masses. Now, what would you do if you had 10 employees and the employee said to you, you have to excuse us. We've got to discuss some things, and we don't want you to know what we're discussing. So they go into a room and shut the door and keep you totally separated. And you're the owner and the boss, and you pay them. What would you do after a while? You'd fire those employees. That's what's going on all across this planet. These governments go behind closed doors. They rape and pillage the people of the countries, and they're fat cats. And they don't care about the well-being of their countries. All you got to do is look at each country and look at the infrastructure. Mm-hmm. That's all you got to do. People say, well, that's a lie. Really? Look at the country. Go online and research that country and try and dig the truth out. And you'll find out how many unhappy people are in that country, and that's why a lot of them get out of the country. It's crazy. And it's because they got a corrupt government that don't care about the people. You look at some of these Nord countries that are basically paying their people monthly, getting rid of poverty, kicking out all the corrupt bankers, putting them in prison. That's what should be going on here in the States right now. Right now. Period. Everybody sits around and relies on a group of people to be the saviors for everything. You ever notice that?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they're going to take care of it all for me. I won't have to do anything. I'm going to have a silver platter handed to me, and I'm not going to have to lift a finger.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what happens, see? And they know that.
And they're the ones that's causing the havoc.
They create all of this make-believe, fantasy, Shangri-La stuff. And so that they know that people will respond to it. They say, well, and then people get the idea, I don't have to do anything. It's all going to be given to me. And so you've got the majority of people are ignorant, and ignorance means that they don't know the truth. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't have anything to do with being stupid. You're just ignorant. That's all. And you don't know the truth, and you haven't educated yourself on what's really going on and what's really happening. Now, a powerful people are people that are knowledgeable. That's a powerful group of people, right? Some of those characters in D.C. don't even know their ass from a hole in the ground. They're not real smart. And they've all atrophied. And so that's what you see. Well, you see all these wealthy people getting into these positions that are supposed to report to the people. And yet they don't. There's something wrong with that. They don't report to the people. And folks, if you have somebody that you hire to do services for you, then this is the truth. Doesn't matter what the services are. We want you to take care of our land for us. We'll pay you only, so much, and then that'll be the service that you provide for us as the American people. Now, if we aren't happy with you, we'll fire you in a New York minute. You're fired. Get out of here. Just remember that thought process, because that's what we're going to end up having to do in this country. We're going to have to fire agencies as a collective group of Americans, as the people of this country, which this country is ours. This is what we occupy. It's our country as long as we live here, and the buck stops with us. Doesn't stop with Washington, D.C. They shifted it. Remember I said reverse, and you'll get the truth. So you reverse D.C., and the truth is we're the ones with the power. They've done such a stealth job at convincing the masses that you're powerless. I'm only me. How many people have you heard in your travels talking with people that say, I can't do anything, I'm just little old me. Look at these powerful government and everything. But you know what? Do you know who's responsible for creating that horror story in D.C.? We are. We're responsible for it. Generations of us. Because what happens is that when these controllers get you accommodated, accustomed to living a certain way over and over, generation after generation after generation, you become so conditioned and so detached that you don't know any different. You can't compare it to anything, because that's all you've known, that's all your parents' have known, and that's it. And then they got you. So they know you're not going to really they're not going to cause much of a problem. They might get a little angry here or there, and that'll blow off. They have a short memory. It's not going to be a big deal. And that's what happens. But we're changing all that. The light's coming in. The awakening is in the process of taking place. There's more and more people that are waking up, that are starting to clear their eyes and say enough's enough. Not going to happen anymore. We're going in a whole different direction. We're going to clean up the planet. Humanity is going to be hydrated. We're going to have a wonderful time. But there's work ahead. It's not going to be just handed to us on a silver platter. We're going to have to work for it. We're going to have to work through things and get together in unity and work through things, because there's been such a stigmatism and a lethargy that's been given to the human race that it needs to be eliminated. When the wave comes in, it's going to shock a lot of people, because it's going to change them. It's going to wake them up. It's like, a cold bucket of water on the face. And, some people will adjust, others won't.
Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and open up the queue, if that's okay with you.
Yep, we got a few minutes for some Q&A.
Okay. Now, you want me to do it the open mic way? Or
yeah,
is that okay?
As long as everybody behaves, we'll be fine.
Okay. Okay, so you have to press *6 on your telephone only if you're going to speak.
Yes, hi, hello.
Excuse me, Joseph. Hold on, please.
Yes, ma'am.
If you have background noise, please wait until it's time for you to speak before you press *6. That way we won't get all that static on the recording. Okay, thank you so much. Go ahead, Joseph.
Yeah, hi, everyone. You talk about a way to get all of the humanity power fully united. Mr. Rand, you say the funds exist. What about the plan that they have? They wanted to give every adult worldwide like $100,000 monthly for like 10 years and then tell them the disclosure. That sounds like that would work.
Well, we have to think about those. See, it's no different than us discussing and them discussing for us. So, that's a thought, and that's a program that has been discussed for the human race. It's actually carrying it out, and then again, you worry about the effects it'll have on certain groups of people. How will they handle it? How will they adjust to that type of living when they aren't used to it at all? And so all those factors come in, and the reason those factors come in is because they get concerned about disarray, disorganization, people becoming miscombobulated, people acting out of reactionary type of personality where they go crazy with things and they get carried away with things. And so they worry about that. They worry about going too fast. Having the human race be subjected to something so astronomical as far as change that they're worried that they won't handle it well, and so then they back off of that idea. The same one that you said, that was in discussion. To say, we can pay, literally, we can distribute funds to every human being on the planet so everybody is hydrated. Take a while. Take a few years to get that done. And everybody would want it immediately, see. They wouldn't understand that logistics-wise and being able to get it carried out and coordinated and organized and structured correctly, it'd take a bit of time to do that, and to get it out to, close to 8 billion people would be astronomical. And they worry about that. They worry about the logistics of it. So you get all these factors, and you got all these minds sitting together trying to determine how to spread the wealth to the human race, how to get the human race migrated. So do you use a vehicle and a group of people to get it out there, like the RVGCR, or do you do it stealthily? Do you do it through projects and start hiring people and jobs and everything so people accept it a lot better and easier? The worry, we just don't hand them a bunch of money. That'll cause problems if we just hand them a bunch of money and all of a sudden they quit all their jobs, and we've got all this manufacturing going on, and we've got all this support mechanism that falls apart. And see, this is what we're talking about, because you have a change, but if you do it too abruptly, everything shuts down, and you've got panic. You got people saying, I'm not going to work anymore. I'm not going to be at the power station. I'm not going to be at the water station. I don't need to do this anymore. I hated my job anyway. Now I got all this money. I don't want to work. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go do something else. And that's what they worry about. So the idea of giving all that money out to the human race, and overnight everybody is well heeled financially, and they're getting paid $100,000 a month, whatever, and they know they're going to have it for 10 or 12 years straight, then they're going to just say, I've got all the security I need, I'm not going to work anymore. So we got a dilemma. We got all these people quitting, and we don't have, like municipalities and taking care of services and, basically keeping the snow plowed off. And everybody's just saying, I don't want to do that anymore. I didn't like it anyway. Not everybody, but the majority. So that creates a dilemma. So you have to look at all the angles, and you can't over-evaluate it, but the fact of the matter is that's a scenario that could very seriously cause a lot of problems in society.
I see. Okay. Well, your knowledge knows that, and there's hopefully we'll come to some agreement, for the whole of humanity. Definitely.
Oh, we're right there on the doorstep. We're right there. So I think that the best way, and I know a lot of people feel that we're almost just about there. So it's you get a group of people that have been conditioned, like all the people on this line, and go to other calls and stuff. But you get to a point where a lot of people on this, and everybody's awake, and they say, "Hey, look, we know what we're going to do. We know how we're going to do it. Just give us the opportunity to do it." That's it. And like I said, everybody on this call is going to be stewards and philanthropists of wealth. That's what the responsibility is going to be. Lifelong, overnight, lifelong responsibility. So it's almost like you want to say to people, be careful what you wish for, because you can end up with a whole life shift that you got to make sure that you really have the confidence that you're ready for. So
Jared, from time to time I've heard you, and even I think I've also heard Fisher say, well, it's not going to be what people think it is. The RV is not exactly what we're thinking is what we were told, which is 800 numbers. So if it's not going to be that, exactly how is the exchange going to transpire?
Word's going to get out that the exchange is happening, and people will start calling in financial institutions and setting up appointments. Pretty much that's how simple it's going to be.
Now, that's been happening for quite some time, but whenever you make those calls, there's always either a negative that'll never happen or something is not transpiring. So
they're worried about a stampede, and they haven't been given the go-ahead that everything is a go. And they're worried about a stampede of people having the Black Friday type attitude.
But how can that be? Why would they worry about a stampede when they're constantly saying not as many people have currency that you think have it, and then on top of that, supposedly all these exchange centers are set up and they're in different locations, and the only way you're going to know is if you're directed to where that location is, and it's not going to be in a regular bank. I mean, that doesn't make sense.
Well, when you look at it from the standpoint of handling the flow of people who have never handled wealth before, and you just got to look at that model right there. Just that one little part of people who have never, ever dealt with wealth before, ever, in their entire lifetimes.
Right.
So, and then you have, if you go into your bank branch, you look at the bank branch. Does that bank branch look to you that it has the facilities to have 3,000 people come in and
but
do
it's not 3,000 people in one location that is in the same neighborhood, because if you listen to the calls, even on this call, people are stretched out all over the world.
Well,
There's not a whole handful of people. Maybe in my community, in my location, there may be about 10 people in Jacksonville, and they're all not in the same location, so they're not all going to be going to the same branch.
Are the bank branches across this country capable of handling this type of transaction?
Now, that's the question. Now, that's on the bank. That's the purpose of what we've been programmed to believe. That was the purpose of the exchange centers. And them training certain amount of people to bring people in, and the layouts that they've given us in the past. So, where's the truth of the matter?
to have the organized facilities to handle the amount of people to exchange. That's the truth, period.
Okay, so if they did that already and trained these people that supposedly keep being called in these exchange centers that's waiting on the people to come in, then, what's the problem?
Oh, they've been training for about 3 years, maybe 4 years.
And so they're not in the banks, they're in exchange centers, which we don't know where those locations are unless someone on the other end of a phone tells us this is the location you're going to.
Take it one step further.
Okay.
You got a bunch of people that find out you got all these people that are going to have a lot of money walking out of these locations. A bunch of people. And let's just say, and I get technical, a couple hundred per community, whatever. And you find out that they're going to be going to these places, and you can stake it out, and they're going to go in there, and these people are going to have buku bucks, tons of money. Some of them will have at least they'll have a maximum of $10,000 cash on them. Now look at that picture, that scenario right there. And think about all of the protocols that have to be in place to protect people and I'll tell you right now, there are scams that have been set up across this country that are so well oiled, that are so professionally, smoothly put together, that you would be totally convinced that they were legitimate. And they're all across this country because the crooks have had a long time to set up their shops. As long as it's going on.
And the longer they wait, the more time it gives the crooks to get their machine well oiled.
And again, it's up to the people to be knowledgeable on their protocol and how they're going to handle things. That's what it boils. So no matter how long it's taken, so be it. That's the way it's been. You can't do these things overnight. You can't do them in a year, 18 months, and have it all done and wrapped up in a nice little package so that everybody's taken care of and handed a silver platter. It just doesn't work.
And that's correct. And we know this started in well before 9/11. So between 9/11 and 2001 and 2018, it's been more than a year. So now, it's just excuse after excuse after excuse. However, the earth is still, the people are still dying on a day-to-day basis, and we're constantly given from one individual to the next. Everybody's taking their turns coming on these calls and giving us different protocols on, you need to know this, you need to know that, all the way back to the MTT days.
You can sum it up. You can sum this whole thing up. There's two choices for humanity. All right? Either the planet is destroyed and we're done, or we change everything and have an Eden. Those are the two choices that are there for humanity.
But they're not going to wait on you can't wait on a perfect scenario and expect to transfer this wealth, because guess what?
Exactly.
As long as you got the bad guys on this planet, that's not going to happen.
Exactly. That's exactly.
So does that mean that it's not going to happen then? Because I don't see them removing anybody. All the crooks still in the Congress and the Senate.
Okay.
And then you also got the other crooks that's behind the scenes. So now what?
Well, and it's up to you to discern of your thoughts and your heart energy on what you believe is going to take place. Now,
what we believe and what we're told is two different things, because for a fact, we all know for a fact that we all believe because we're still holding on to our currency.
That is the choice that each person makes, each human makes. That's the choice that you make.
That's right. So therefore, since we made a choice to hold on to this currency because we believe that it is going to be a process to take place where we can exchange. However, we're not in control of when that process is going to take place. So my question is this. Are the people that are in control of when that process is going to take place, are they in fear?
Are they what?
In fear?
Oh,
are
absolutely.
They operating in fear?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So how do we make that? How do we get them out of that mode of fearfulness so that they can release the process so that we can go through this exchange scenario?
We're already doing that. We're shifting the sands. We're doing the meditations. We have the thought energy to create whatever we wish to create. That's the message, okay? Mm-hmm. Waiting for the proverbial bird to drop the gold brick in your lap isn't the way it's going to happen.
Right.
I've been saying that over and over again. It is up to the people to determine and to view it in their minds and hearts. And the only way we're going to do that is a collectiveness of unity amongst the people. And that's into the meditative state. It's a proven fact.
So will we have to? Do we have to wait 5 or 10 more years before we get enough people to bring forth that visualization into the planet?
We're already making the change. We've got 4,200 people already. We've only been doing it for 2 weeks. I mean, people want, it's gotten to the point with us where there's so much disinformation that people are so confused and so frustrated, and some of them have been in it for 14 years, some of them have been in it 15 years, whatever, okay?
But that's a choice they're making. They are making the choice to be confused because they're listening to all the trash.
And that's why I say use discernment, period, and understand that the way things get done is through unity.
Mm-hmm.
That's the point. The only way things are going to progress is through unity. And
so we've been talking about that and teaching that for the last almost 5 years, and guarding your heart and protecting your ear gates and not listening to all that trash. But people still making the choice to chase it.
But not enough people have followed that direction in 5 years.
That's a fact.
So that's what happens. And then when you realize we've got to do something to accelerate that process, or we're going to be sitting here twiddling our thumbs a month of Sundays. Because you create what you want. You create it. Now, there's enough people, I think, in this monetary shift that really pray and wish for it to take place. That's why it's going to take place. It is not going to happen. It is going to.
I know for a fact that it's going to happen because of the scriptures.
Yeah. So the point is that people are, and let's go back 50 years in America.
Did anybody talk?
Go ahead, Jared.
Let's go back 50 years in America. People were dying. People were sick. They were dropping dead of cancer, all kinds of diseases. They were going broke. They were impoverished. They were having the same problems that we're having today. Mm-hmm. What's changed? Has anything changed? People have been dropping dead and dying and having stressful lives in this society from day one. Mm-hmm. It's not changed any. It's not any different. Yeah, the problem is more out in the open in front of people on purpose. We have more death, more problems, more financial challenges, but it's the same scenario. It's putting humanity through stress and pain and sorrow and anguish, and that's been the scenario from day one.
Right.
And now that we're having this opportunity of the event coming here, the outer skirts of the wave is hitting humanity. We are going to change direction. We already have. We're going to turn the corner, and we aren't going to be obliterated as a race. That's something to really celebrate.
Absolutely.
That's something spectacular to celebrate, as a matter of fact.
Mm-hmm.
We have a monetary shift coming. The signs are in front of everybody's face. It's not like hearsay. It's not a bunch of gurus telling you this information. It's in front of your face. You're seeing some of the major players in the world economy going to a gold-backed currency. You can't just have one country go to a gold-backed currency. Everybody's got to be in agreement for the harmony, or you'd have a total breakdown of the social structure of the planet.
That's true.
So when you see China announce to the human race, we have a gold-backed currency, and then you're sitting there and you say, well, holy cow, then I guess China's the only country that's going to have a gold-backed currency and the rest of us are going to have a fiat currency. No, the point is that it's happening in front of everybody. That's what I've been trying to say. This thing is transpiring in front of your eyes, but a lot of people aren't seeing it. They aren't picking it up. And so to really eliminate the confusion is just look in front of you. See the forest between the trees.
We see that it's happening, Jared. That's not our concern. Our concern is our participation, so that we can help relieve the people that's around us.
And here's a solution. You either believe it and hang in there until it happens, or you don't and walk away. Those are the choices. People have a choice to make. That's it.
That's not really a choice.
Yes, it is. You either believe it and collectively unify with other people who believe it, meditate, and work towards a solution of it actually happening and coming out, or decide that it's not true. It's not going to happen. And
we know it's true, and we know it's going to happen. But I say they need to piss or get off the pot. That's what I say.
Well, you know what? It doesn't matter what people say. It's what they decide.
I know. That's the problem right there.
And it's because the human race has given away its power and has put itself in that position. That's why.
They were programmed. They've been programmed since day one to give it away.
You give your power away, and then you put yourself in a crux of position where you're dictated to, and you're at the mercy of others' decisions.
And that's been since day one. I mean, we were born into that matrix.
That's exactly right. That's right.
Can we change the subject?
No. We want to get this exchange in your hands, don't you?
No, it's running around in
circles. Or you want to talk about Wendy Williams' sexual organ?
No. I would love to say something else.
That's not a fair thing to say.
Okay, then. Go ahead, Jared.
I'm just here to take questions.
So can I ask a question now? Is it an opportunity to say something?
Unless you want me to mute you?
No, I don't want to be muted. I would love to ask a question. First, thank you very much. And Jared, thank you, sir. I appreciate your patience. I can see it. First, I wanted to say something. I hear you say, Jared, just now you said the event, and I wanted to bring to, some attention. There's a guy named Cobra from Prepare for Change. He's been talking about the event. He talks about something else, Jared, you talked about before, too. It's the Chimera group. That's those beings, the shadow beings, are what Dr. W.C. was asking about, the overseers. And there's not many of them left, but they have something called toplet bombs. That's
old news. Those bombs already have been removed.
So that's not them, but I'm just saying, you asked, who are they?
We taught on that. That's old news. Those toplet bombs have already been removed.
No, the Chimera group. You just asked about who's the overseers.
I understand what you're saying, but you're not listening to me. That's old news on this call. We've even got a picture on the website to show who they are, what they look like. That's old news.
I'm not trying to argue with you, man. I just heard you say it. I'm so sorry. I apologize.
No, you don't have to apologize. If you haven't listened to this call, then you don't know that. That's old news. We're aware of that. And then
the other thing I wanted to say, Jared, and yesterday a lady was asking about helping people. I have a herb store, health food store here in New York, Long Island, And a lot of, like, even at 7-Eleven making coffee, the way I kind of bring information to people, I start off, a lady was asking yesterday, how do you do it? I talk about the monetary system, the mortgages, the debt, and that gets our interest, you know, because unfortunately trying to wake people up talking about goodwill to men is not really that good, because we are trained to look out for ourselves. But when you talk about the money, you get your foot in the door. And that's why I've been waiting for the RV so hard, because my humanitarian projects, they're kind of trickster projects. They're helping people with teaching them how to eat different and herbs, teaching them how to go to a counseling group for marriage and couples, planting trees. I'm real nervous. But it's kind of giving people money and putting them in charge, learning how to do this, and then passing it on to other people. So it's almost something that will not only help humanity, but it'll also help humanity spread with a different thought. And I ain't no genius. I'm just so happy to be where I am now, and I'm so impatient. I wanted it to happen yesterday. I'm in a foreclosure situation. I'm hurting like the next man, hardworking, retired contractor. But I gotta just, I understand where, they're discerning and being cautious that they don't steal the money. But I feel like you, Dr. WC. They throw the money out there. We could use the money to get more people involved. We get rents. But like I mentioned, Prepare for Change, he has like 100,000 people that meditate. Simon Park's got a lot of people that meditate. And Jared just started 2 weeks ago, and I meditate with y'all. And that's 42. So people are joining these groups. There's a lot of us that's in different areas.
The point
Thank you for letting me share.
You have to unify all these groups and guide them in a mutual meditative state, because we've been doing these groups all over America for years and years and years.
Yes.
And the effect is not powerful enough to make the shift. And that's why we're doing this as a concerted effort, is why I started these up a couple weeks ago, is to get a collective unity of all these different groups doing all these different meditations and have a symmetrical, one group only meditative state on a daily basis, a lifelong commitment. And that's what these meditations are. They're a lifelong
commitment. I know Simon Parks talks about shutting down CERN. He said they was very successful. I know Colbert talks about the compression breakthrough, where the Algothans and the pressure from the inner earth went up to the top, to the Sirius sun, and we had a compression break. So things are getting done, and I don't know, I'm not trying to put it on you or Dr. WC as being, kind of running this call and putting us together, but I was saying that maybe y'all need to kind of unify with other groups, and let's, have a, what they call round tables, and just start talking about it.
That's
and
what
people
we're
will come
doing.
Across. Yes. And one more thing, Jared, I emailed you my address to my health food store, because the lady was talking about meeting places. And me and my community, we have like a conscious awakening meeting every 2 months, where we go to the city, we go to Brooklyn, and we have meetings in my store on other things. But I have an area, I have a couple of couches and chairs where like-minded people can meet. So I sent you my number, my email address, and if people in my area was interested, like I said, I'm in Long Island, New York. I'm more than welcome, assistance. And now I'm going. Thank you. I'm gonna mute myself out. Thank you, Dr. WC.
Thank you,
Jared. Thank you, Smarty. Thank you, guys.
May I ask a question?
Sure, go ahead.
Next caller.
Yes. Thank you. Jared, if possible, could you take 2 or 3 or 4 minutes to share your knowledge of what the event is? I'm noticing there's a lot of interest right now and expectation. People like Alison Cole with her hypnotherapy, and more of her clients are in the hypnotic state are talking about this coming probably in the month of March, seems to be a consensus. And I'm wondering if you could elaborate more on just what it is and the relationship of it with to the reset. Do they come at the same time? Does one come before the other, or one have to come before the other? If you could, please, I would appreciate that.
Well,
thank you.
I'll say that in a collective state, if you look at the condition of the planet and the human race right now, as I'm speaking, take a brief moment and review it of all the things that we've talked about tonight and other calls we talk about on the meditations. And you look at us as carbon-based life forms, okay, that the human race, we are carbon-based. The evolutionary track for humanity is from carbon to crystalline-based life form, intelligent life. And we vibrate, and this is what the event is. We're going to be transcended, so to speak, into a different existence across the board. First, we're going to be liberated from the chattels and control mechanisms of the overseers, these beings that have controlled us forever and the planet. That's going to be lifted. The veil that you've heard people talk about, which keeps us from seeing and interacting with the etherical energy in the universe, will disintegrate. It will disappear. You'll be able to sit and talk with your departed mother and have conversations with your departed father and relatives or whatever. Your memory of past lives will return. You won't be blanked out You'll have these memories. You'll have the knowledge and awareness of who you are, where you came from, and what you're about, type thing. Will
that be happening overnight, so to speak?
No, it's almost going to be like you've heard Cobra talk about cocooning. You've heard him talk about the crystal chambers. You've heard Nidal talk about certain things. And the fact of the matter is that we're going to have to be adjusted to handle the energies, because in our current state, we'll have a hard time handling those energies. So a lot of us will go into crystalline chambers, probably about 3 days worth, as I've said before, to adjust us to the new vibrational frequencies of a fourth density or fifth dimensional Earth. And
would it? I'm sorry. Would it be possible to assume that when this happens, it will be a worldwide, and it'll be such a thing that it'd be impossible to ignore by the media and governments?
Absolutely, hands down. There are other civilizations that have traveled from other parts of the galaxy to be here to witness the transition.
Okay. So that would mean, excuse me for guiding the conversation, that would mean then that all of the fears, that some of which have been discussed tonight, and concerns and confusions, they'll probably all just take a back seat.
Yes.
They won't matter anymore.
Exactly.
Okay, where does the reset fit into this in terms of timing? Do you know?
The reset.
Like, would it be happening within 48 hours, the same time, or would it possibly be months separated? Simultaneous.
Yes.
Okay. So it seems to me that, the meditation you're doing, which to me on a personal level seems to be absolutely perfect for the whole globe, that has been destined to be this way. that all that's really needed is for people to pay attention to that and not all these other zillion details and concerns and fears or apprehensions or whatever. If the attention enough, was it take 8,000 or 9,000 to flip
the switch?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Flip the switch. Amen to that, brother. You just said it in a nutshell.
So that's all that really matters right now. That's where our attention should be.
That's exactly right.
You know, all the rest is just meaningless. It's just that it's taken us so many years to get here. But now it's always easier if there's only one thing we need to remember. At least it has been for me. If times are difficult, I like it simple. One thing to remember to do. And to me,
that's why I was called to bring these out 2 weeks ago in a very simple way so that it wouldn't be challenging to anybody. There's no challenge there for anybody. It's guided. It's simple. It directs the energies. It puts one on a very positive base. It affects them for the rest of the day into the night. These are all wonderful things that can happen to each person that participates. And they can also, I've had people send me pictures across the board of what it's done for them and the sunsets and the changes in their lives that's happening. I mean, I get hundreds of emails of people telling me how it's affected them. And it's only been going for 2 weeks.
Yes.
And I couldn't have said it better. You said it in a nutshell. It's simple, and people should be concentrating on this, and it doesn't take a lot of time. It was designed that way. It's not a 2-hour meditation. It's not a Buddha meditation. It is a 10 to 15 minute in deep silent meditation. It's a guided path. People are told what we're going to be doing, how we're going to be doing it, what its effects are going to be, and then we go into silence.
Would this be an accurate statement, Jared? If, say, hypothetically, as of tomorrow, there was 10,000 people actively involved in that meditation, and can only getting more, but say at least 10,000, would it be correct to say that we would probably most definitely high percentage have all the things happen, including the event and the reset, within a week or so?
Pretty much, yes.
That's my gut sense too.
Yep.
Thank you, Jared. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Question? Jared.
Go ahead. Yes.
Can you speak to the 100 monkey theory, and what percentage level will it take for us to make the transition?
Percentage of the population?
Yes, sir.
It takes 0.0001% of the population.
For a mass consciousness awakening?
0.0001 of the population.
You've reached 270.
So the other gentleman that was just speaking, very clear understanding of what we're doing. A lot of the time is spent in a direction that's not accomplishing anything. We have to direct that in a simple way so that people start concentrating on what they have been wanting for so long. And that's one of the reasons for these meditations. So if we can get, like I said, a minimum of 8,000 people, everything will fall into place.
Yeah, the first part of the question was the 100 monkey theory. You're familiar with that?
I really haven't followed the 100 monkey theory, no.
Okay, based on the fact that when a certain percentage of the population reaches a certain percentage of belief, even though the rest of the population can click in automatically. And in the 100 monkey theory, it was about 3%. When 3% of the population started into a new, unknown belief system, overnight, the rest of the population became instantly aware and awake.
Becomes affected I don't know if the word instantly would be used in that situation, in that scenario. We know zero-point energy, and we know the effect of the populace of the planet, and it's usually in a direction of thought and heart meditation that can create anything, that can change anything, miraculously within seconds, within minutes or seconds.
That would be the hunky theory, yes.
Yeah, but I'm not saying that on a collective basis where you have instantaneous awakening of the human race. You have so many people that will participate. You can't force people to participate. So you have a collective grouping of people, as long as they don't fear the association and the participation, and it's simple enough, and they understand that it is full of love, compassion, and goodness, rather than all the other garbage that's being sprayed on the human race, then the collective consciousness of that soul group that is meditating can make the collective change to the entire planet. If you want the oceans cleaned up, boom, they're cleaned up. If you want the air transformed and clean, boom, it is done. That is the true power of the human race. That's what we have. That's what God gave us. We're a collective source of energy, part of the God. And that's what this is about. This meditation is to affect those changes, not just once a month or once a year or once every 6 months, but all the time, all the time. And it's a habit that people must get into if they want this change to occur. Instead of sitting back, waiting and waiting and waiting, they have to participate collectively. And that's a proven fact. So it doesn't mean that you get a certain portion of the populace together in the meditation and that overnight everybody wakes up and is clear, bushy, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, knows everything and is aware of everything. It means that enough of society is awakened enough to make a collective shift in the consciousness of humanity. And when you get to that zero-point energy level, you can accomplish that. And by doing 8,000 minimum, obviously more makes more of an impact, but the minimum is 8,000 souls meditating in a simple format every day to make the collective change for humanity and the planet. And
okay, we're on the same track, different knowledge. Thank you very much for addressing that.
Yep, thank you.
Jared.
Yeah.
This is Roger. I agree with what you're saying. If we had the 8,000 plus, I go along with that 100% because I do a lot of meditation myself, and I'm meditating on that 3 times a day. But if we could get them all together at a certain times, I would say.
Certain time every day. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, certain time. You name the time, and we should all get on that time.
That's exactly right.
And the rest of them that doubt, we can just block them off. And then they'll come in line. So you name the time.
It grows exponentially, and the effects are changing. I mean, people don't just, it's affecting many people, and they're seeing it and experiencing it. People are telling me they're going, their work the people at work are much more friendly. They go out stores and stuff. Things seem brighter. Everything seems lighter. This is the way. This is the way.
All they have to is clear their mind and meditate on this thing being approved right away. It may not be approved right away, but it will be approved in less time than we have been thinking of.
The purpose is to end suffering of the human race.
Yeah.
End the suffering of humanity. Through this meditative state, and also, which it hasn't been done before, for everybody. It's so simple, and it's guided. So it doesn't take a person with 10 different degrees in order to participate in the meditation.
Jared, don't you have a time already?
3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every day.
Yeah, Roger, he has a time, 3 o'clock.
3 o'clock. That's my standard time. That's my regular time.
Yeah, let everybody know that. So let's join in.
I also meditate at 9 in the morning, 3 in the afternoon, and 11 at night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. Rand, can I ask you something about the replay? For the ones who don't make it at 3, I'm telling them to go on at 8, and we got some people coming on at 8 Eastern listening to the replay all at once. Will that be helpful?
That's helpful, too.
Okay, thanks.
That's a good idea, is to get a grouping together that if for some reason they can't make the 3 p.m., they can go to the playback, period.
Yeah.
And in a group session, meditate again. Through the guided meditation. I mean, you can do it on the playback, but the idea is get as many people live as possible at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 days a week, through the guided meditation. It doesn't take a lot out of their day. It's a total of about a half an hour. We talk a little bit, we go into the guidance, and then we meditate for 10 to 15 minutes, and then it's very pleasant, and people come out of the meditation and they go about their day. And we're doing something. We're actually doing something. We are accomplishing a tremendous amount of ground that normally would stay stagnant.
Yes.
And sitting and worrying about things does nothing. It doesn't do anything. It's very destructive to sit.
Well, you have a lot of people. That's all they do is put a doubt up there, and that kind of knocks it back a little bit for us who don't know. But we got to.
That's why we've got people that have done flyers. We've got people that have done things on Vimeo. We've got people that have done things on YouTube, and it's only been 2 weeks. This isn't, we have been at this for months and months and months. We've only been at it for a couple of weeks, and we're growing exponentially day by day.
That's good. That's better yet. So the more we have, the better it is.
And it's really exciting because it's waking up many people. They're collectively coming together because since we're all one anyway, and it's things working. And I expected it to work anyway. So it's time. It's time for us to collectively come together. And it's to start believing that this is a reality, that it's where humanity is going to be in meditative state on a regular basis. It's not going to be intermittent. And eventually we'll have major groups. Imagine this in a spot, a beautiful nature preserve area, where you have 100,000 people all sitting together meditating at once.
Hey, Jared, could you give out the number again?
Sure. I'll give you the call time is 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Phone number, call-in number is 641-715-0857. Participation code is 30471 pound. Again, the number.
Did you get that number? Did you get that number again?
The dial-in number is 641-715-0857. 641-715-0857. One more time, 641-715-0857. And the participation code is 303-471 pound. 303-471 pound.
At what time?
3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Gotcha.
Yes, may I ask a question?
Sure, go ahead.
I've got some contradiction going on in my head right now, and I'm probably not the only one. I've heard two different trains of thought going on, and the first train of thought that was discussed was that the people who are responsible for releasing the RV have fear. They have fear for our safety, so they've gone backwards, forwards, and inside out trying to figure out how to keep us safe, whether we're going to do it at a bank or at a military installation, and are they going to track us? And, you know, these crooks have known about this for years and years and years, and they have all these things set up, and they know that we're going to walk out of this redemption center or bank or whatever it is with $10,000, and so they're all afraid about this and us getting robbed. So we went from that train of thought to basically it sounded to me that that's pretty much null and void because none of it's even going to matter when we have the event because it's all just going to happen simultaneously.
Well, the first part was questions being asked about the current situation without the event involved and what has transpired during the whole process and where it's been brought to, at what direction it's at. And then people have asked questions about why hasn't it happened? Well, because of the concern of the populace and how to roll it out and the different how you organize it, and then the people that are been watching it, knowing people will have money and will try to set up stings that will take their money. I mean, it's just normal. That happens anyway. Mm-hmm. Those are just normal things that take place. I think that too much emphasis and too much time has been spent people worrying and wondering when they're going to get money, when we should be putting our efforts into meditation. Period. So there, I mean,
but Jared, the RV has nothing to do with the event. The RV is separate than the event.
No, it's not.
Monetary shift on the planet is part of the event.
The event. But the RV, the revaluation of the currencies,
is part of the event.
Okay, I'm sorry if I must have it mistaken. I thought the RV was totally separate. Totally separate. The currency revaluation of all of the currency has nothing to do with the event, and the event has nothing to do also with Nesara. That's kind of together a little more. But the RV I thought was going to happen before the event happened. And we was going to have currencies and money, and then the event was going to happen.
Eliminate.
So that's what I thought. So I'm confused too, like the young lady.
Okay, eliminate the debt. Okay. Let loose with prosperity and abundance. Right. Now, in order for the bad guys to be finally out of the way, the event has to be here. They are not going to release any funds with bad guys still around. Because I'll tell you why. It's real simple. They can't move money. That's all. Period. They try to move the money's stolen.
Makes sense. That makes sense.
So that's why people get so frustrated. Okay? That's why people get so anxious and get irritated and angry, is because it's really it's not rocket science. It's like this, guys. If they try to move massive sums of money, and they have and the system is owned and operated by the bad guys. Think about that. They're trying to move massive quantities of wealth from point A to point B. And if they try to do it, the bad guys steal it, and it never gets to its destination. Now imagine this. The bad guys own all the banks. They own all the banks. They own the monetary system. They own the SWIFT. So, and then here's the good guys, and they're saying, okay, we've got all this wealth, and we want to get it, we want to hydrate the human race, and we want to get things going in the right direction. How are we going to do that without them trying to steal it? Okay? That's the number one dilemma, the number one holdup of this whole entire thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's it, right there. If you guys want the truth, that is the truth. Period.
Would that be the only thing,
Mr.
Rand? The only thing?
That's it, right there. That's the truth. Now, with the event, okay, when we talk about the event, the galactic wave coming in and changing humanity, the bad guys, the remnants of them, can't handle that vibration. They just cannot handle it. Not function. They go cattywampus. They go crazy. You're witnessing some of that with the fringes already hitting Earth. So the fact that we have right now is we're right on the edge of everything occurring. Somewhat, we talk about all of these booby traps and everything that the controllers have had on the planet and the Chimera group and all that stuff. And you got to remember, being around for centuries and centuries and thousands of years, you've had to set up shop, put in all these fail-safes to keep the good guys from winning anything. But guess what? We've won.
Yes, sir.
We've won, folks. That's the whole point. They're cleaning up the mess, the remnants, and that's what's been going on. Now, here's another thing that everybody, I think, understands. You cannot parade this in front of the populace because the majority of the populace is asleep. And if they're asleep, they're going to look at this as a whole different avenue than any of you guys would. So imagine that. Imagine when you were asleep, of all of a sudden this stuff's just being broadcast out in front of you. Okay? Underground bases being blown up. We've been controlled by aliens forever. I mean, you imagine the social breakdown on this planet? It would be catastrophic. So on top of that, they got to make sure that this doesn't get out to the masses. We know because we have been selected to know. That's the whole point. And the people on this call are very awake, very aware of many things. And that's why we're looking at the hydration of the human race and being part of it. So
now, Jared, can I ask you one more thing? And this is going to coattail what the lady said. Now, if we have currency to revalue and humanitarian projects, that is almost obsolete because if the event happens, people are going to be hydrated with funds. The bad guys are going to be dissipated off of the scene. Humanity is going to get out of debt. So the RV in itself, the revaluation of the money, seems to be something I and many other people's waiting on. That's not really going to happen. Is that true, Jared?
In a way, you're looking at a total shift of consciousness of the entire planet. And so the value of money will shift, period. The attention spent on money will shift. It will no longer be an issue, okay? There will be, all debt will be forgiven across the planet. It has to happen. It has to. It's got to shift that way in order for us to move ahead. So the entire debt load of the planet will be forgiven. You know how you forgive debt? You just say it's forgiven. There's no technicals about it. Guess what? All you countries that owe debt, it's forgiven. Okay? I've never been one to believe too much in money because I think that it's an old-fashioned, outdated thing, that it keeps people in bondage and it enslaves people just by people having it. So the fact of the matter is that we have got to get away from the thought of having money control our existence. It's a created material, and when this event happens, our shifting and our consciousness is going to shift in a different direction. You know what it's going to shift doing? We're going to have all the wealth we'll ever imagine having. We're going to have all the ability to change the planet. And that's why when we get to a point of collectiveness on these meditations, we'll be able to change things immediately. So all of this other stuff comes in, And no one worries about money anymore. It's not a big deal. Money isn't a big deal. Everybody's got it, okay? And eventually that's what's going to happen. Everybody's going to have. And all of a sudden, guess what? It's no big deal. What happens to society when something isn't a big deal anymore? Lose interest. They lose interest. The interest isn't there anymore. What I'm describing to you is the transition from third dimension to fifth dimension. The transition of this is the whole collectiveness of the event. It's what it involves. It involves humanity's collective consciousness shifting directions. Period. We're no longer materialistic. We don't value materialism. We don't value that type of thing anymore. We value harmony and peace and prosperity amongst everyone on the planet, and the harmony with all life on the planet. And we work together in accomplishing that on a daily basis. It's what we do. It's what we exist for. And we create and we expand. Then we go out into the galaxy and out into the universe. And we process and we go to other planets and we populate. And we create.
Jared, one moment, please. Somebody needs to star 6. There's too much messy noise going on in the background, and it's aggravating.
Okay. Make sure that your background noise is star 6 if you aren't involved in a Q&A. So we appreciate it. That sounds like that did it.
Jared, may I add something else, please?
Sure.
So something's just coming to me, and that is that all of us who have been involved in this currency exchange for any period of time, for myself over 4 years now, we've been conditioned to believe that this RV is going to come to us in a certain manner. And I think what you're saying is it's not going to come to us in that manner that we've believed for all of this time, and that's where the confusion and the frustration is coming from, and people feeling, I think, just downright, angry because, like I said, we've been conditioned to believe it was going to happen a certain way. So what I'm picking up right now is that we just need to do 2 things. Let go of how we've been conditioned to believe that this is going to come in, and just 2 things. Meditate every day along with your meditation, and wait for the event, and then just watch how it's going to happen and let go of the rest.
That's exactly right.
Well, what do you know?
Goodness. You've hit it. You've hit the donkey on the nose. The basic, keeping everybody occupied and diverted, keeping everybody believing that certain things going to happen a certain way, keeping them preoccupied so that they can't create on their own, so that they're powerless, and they keep them thinking that this is what's going to happen and how it's going to happen.
Uh-huh.
And
so all of these intel calls are just a bunch of falsities. I hate to call them garbage, but it kind of sounds like that's exactly what they are.
Well, actually, they're people trying to help, and they're being given information by operatives that give them the intel that they believe are credible, and so they're just being messengers trying to help the audience cope and comprehend the revaluation process.
Sure, but in the meantime, it just...
Jared, I have to butt in before this call is over.
Hey, yo,
so
you keep butting in, bro. Stop butting in.
I'm going to stop now, but you don't want people to burn or throw away their currency just in case.
No.
I just wanted to say that. Okay, because from what I know, the RV was created by the Clintons for the higher elite. And then once the white hats got a hint of it, they gave all of us information on it. And then once we got involved, see, people that was involved 14, 15, 20 years ago are not around now. So that's why it changes so much too. So I apologize, Smarty. I'm out of here. I'll never do it again. But I didn't want nobody to think, well, let me throw my currency away just in case.
Oh,
that's all.
No.
Why would you do that?
No, that's not telling people to throw their currency away.
Right. No, you didn't say that. I just don't want people to listen and think that it's totally garbage when we don't really know what's going on.
Yeah, let's put it this way. It's a potpourri of events that are all put in the same pot to make people confused, and a lot of people are confused. And if you got a lot of awake people. On this call, there's a lot of awake people. On other calls, there's a lot of awake people. If you keep the ones that are awake diverted and occupied, what happens? Their eye is off the ball. See? So what happens is that they're ineffective, neutered. They're put out of commission. They aren't using their power, so it's been diverted. The power has been diverted, and it keeps them occupied.
Yeah, because everybody's focusing on all of these calls and what they're saying, and it's going to happen tomorrow, and the banks, and it's switching over to this system, and so it's giving all of these calls and all of this intel and everything, all of the power, instead of, like you're saying, that we need to take it back by doing the meditation and waiting for the event, and so that is where our focus should be. Is that correct?
Now by doing the meditations, we're accelerating the event process.
Okay. Okay.
We're accelerating many facets of the event process by doing the meditation. So if you comprehend that, there's a lot of people
now.
There's a lot of people that could use assistance. Okay, we all at least know at least one or two people that can, even ourselves, that could use assistance. So we are motivated by the whole collective. We want all of our brothers and sisters to be happy and have plenty. So what are we going to do as a collective energy, a power that's been given to us by our Creator, that we are not utilizing at all? Instead, we're spending time pining away and wondering out of total confusion when we're going to get money. Think about that. Think about that. Mm-hmm. When we can be empowered as a group of awakened spirits, souls, to incorporate our power as a collective source to emphasize the acceleration of this entire process. And that's our power. That's what they fear. That's what they've always feared. So keep them separated. Keep them broken apart. Keep them angry. Keep them upset. Keep them depressed. And that's what I've been talking about tonight. We don't need that, guys. We got the power. It's been given to us. We're the future. The people on this call is the future of humanity. We don't need to lower ourselves and to belittle ourselves and to say, why isn't this happening and why can it be? All along, it's the power is in our hands to make it be. It's in our hands. We take our power back, and that's what the people on this call have done, whether they're aware of it or not. And we will accelerate this event. We will collectively make a major impact on the human race and this planet. And people will begin to see, they're already seeing the changes. They'll begin to see them more and more spectacular, quicker, faster, on a daily basis. And that's why, people talk about, I'm aware of all these different groups, these different school programs that train people in meditation and meditative schools and everything. That's wonderful. It is absolutely fantastic. I'm saying all these groups have got to come together as a collective source of power and energy of the human race. And if we want to change things, this is how we're going to do it. This is how we're going to do it. Not by violent.
Comment?
Sure, go ahead.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm sorry to interrupt, but all of this wonderful talk about meditation sometimes intimidates people, and manifestation is another term that is a little easier, I think, for a lot of people. And that manifestation has worked for me in my lifetime many times. And if you will just picture in your mind what you're looking for and see yourself in that photo in your mind, enjoying the money, doing what you want to do, whether it's helping people, living a better life, doing whatever. If you'll just manifest it in that way, just picture that in your mind and keep that, and it will help manifest this so much easier. And you don't have to do group meditations or anything. Everybody can do this on their own, and it's a wonderful, wonderful exercise. No, it is true. It's worked for me many times.
Manifestation is a great ability, but it is also a form of meditation. I think you're missing the point. I'm talking about in order for us to be very strong, coming together as one, benefit the entire human race, is through these simple meditations. Manifestation's great
for with that.
Manifestation's good for individual needs and wants. Okay.
I agree. Thank you for that clarification. Thank you for letting me interject.
Well, thank
you.
I'm
mute out now. Thank you.
Jared, can I ask a question?
Yes, go ahead.
I am just a little concerned about, I have Zimbabwe. Most of my currency is Zimbabwe. And we were told that HSBC and Wells Fargo are the two banks that are doing the Zimbabwe. I don't have Wells Fargo or HSBC in my area. That was the reason the redemption centers were going to be in locations where they don't have it. So what's going to happen to people like me?
You'll be able to go to some place within an easy commuting distance to be able to do your transaction.
But I mean, I wouldn't even know who to call for something like that. I've tried to set up an account, but nobody will talk to me about it.
Well, when the process begins, you'll have access to a call to be able to call authorities.
You'll call the number we give you, and they'll lead you the way.
So we will have a number to call.
Yeah, you'll have a central processing number.
Oh, okay.
That you'll be able to call, and you'll give them your location, and you'll be able to be directed to wherever you go. It won't be a burdening situation.
Okay. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Jared, can I ask a question?
Sure.
I just want to say I've never meditated, but I've been on the meditation calls every day, or the call in when I can, and it is changing things. And what I've seen is everybody's so focused on the money, all the groups are splitting up. They've all went their own way instead of sticking together and making this thing happen with the Spirit of God that we have inside of us. And that's what you're trying to get us all back to focus on the God spark and bring this about by a simple meditation of watching the love of God and the healing of God heal this planet from all these lies.
Yeah, it's very true. That's very true. This is about everybody. This isn't about a group or a handful or this group or that group. This is about each and every human being on planet Earth. This isn't about you or me. It's about all of us, every one of us. And if people are able to not get tied up in religion, to not get conflicted, and and not be fearful, and understand this is a simple application of togetherness of the human race in a simple meditative state to help heal the planet and humanity. Now, I don't know of a better effort than any of us can do collectively than that right there. to give this energy to our brothers and sisters of planet Earth, to all life on the planet, to heal people, to heal the planet. And that's what we're doing with these meditations. And people getting in a better frame of mind and feel. That's what this is about. It's about the happiness factor, the joy factor. The happiness is inside of each and every one of us. We all look for it on the outside, but it's inside of us. That's where it's at. And we've been taught to look elsewhere. Well, if I buy this, it'll make me happier. If I have this relationship, it'll make me happy. And the happiness is inside of us. And so we're going to give that happiness. We're going to send that energy from our heart centers deep within our higher self, our God spark, to cure the planet Earth and to cure the human race. And that means alleviate greed, alleviate envy, and alleviate the depressions and all the darkness and all the lurkingness and all the goop, and free humanity. That's what this is about. And by doing that every day, we get people in the habit and the commitment. It's about the commitment. It's where people say, I've got to be there because this is my commitment to my brothers and sisters on planet Earth. This is my commitment. This is what I can do for humanity. I can, from my home, I can get on this phone and I can be part of a guided meditation that's very simple, that'll enlighten me, empower me, and change my day. Think about that. Where are you going to be able to do that on your own? Most people aren't capable of sustaining it more than 15 minutes.
I have a way of summing it up, if I may, Jared.
Sure.
It's about one-pointedness, along where a group get together in a one-pointed way, in a focused way, and the universe, in essence, is a great big yes machine. And if you have a lot of people becoming one-pointed, which is like saying a prayer and an expectation of what they want, the universe will supply it because that's its nature.
Now you're exactly right. Yes, that's exactly right. That's one perspective of it. Exactly.
Yeah,
now,
so it's simple.
Doesn't it make sense? Okay. You see, mankind complicates things. If we keep things in perspective and simple, then we're in good shape. And what better way can you have by literally projecting your God source energy for healing planet and humanity, which means prosperity, which means abundance, which means wealth, which means great health, which means joy, which all converts to happiness, contentment, peace, compassion.
Yes.
These are all things that we all strive for, yet we run from them. We run from them. We're spending our time pining away about money coming to us, which it will anyway, instead of putting our power where it can be truly utilized. Truly utilized.
There's one more point. Yeah. There's one more point, Jared, too, because virtually everybody who is awakened and is involved in this, has gone through the process of hearing all the different gurus and the whole ball of wax. And I think part of forgetting it is the realization we needed that in order to get to this point, and we aren't guilty of anything, or we'd have no need to be angry about anything. It's just...
That's true. Yeah.
And so the letting go of that it can take a while because the mind has been habituated to keep thinking in that way. So we need to be able to take it easy on ourselves, and every time we find ourselves thinking that, and saying, no, I'm not going to think about that anymore. I'm just going to think about this one-pointed meditation is all I need to be concerned about at this time.
That's very true.
Change a habit.
Which, as you said, which is very true, some of us, that change a habit is a tough one. That's a tough nut to get
but
away.
We have no choice.
No, that's very true.
We have to, and we can. Once the mind is made up, it's easy to do. It's letting go of the temptation to think in the old ways.
Thinking the old ways. You just said it right there. We graduate for this shift and this change by getting away from the old ways. And what are the old ways of thinking? The old ways are thinking lack of, more lack of, depression, fear, anguish, sorrow,
craving.
All of those things. That's the old way on planet Earth, the old way. Yeah. Destruction, murder, rape, pillage. Those are the old, goopy, third-dimensional frequencies that we have to let go of. We have to let go of those.
Yeah, we have no choice about it.
No.
We have
or it will keep you consumed.
Jared, can I get permission to say something?
Sure.
Jared, I feel another need to identify the difference when I hear the gentleman say awakening and talking about other gurus. This money has nothing to do with awakening to me. Awakening is understanding what you've been talking about, Jared, as far as mind control with the different methods. One of the biggest ones, which I know you're being nice, is religion. I mean, I'm coming from a school of Eckhart Tolle, The Now, a book that he wrote in the 70s. Louise Hayes, Muji. It's certain people that I'm a seeker, and I needed truth. Because a lot of the religions that, in the name of this religion, I'm going to kill this and torture this whole country, has had us, as an American, approving and going along with. And the awakening for me was 9/11 and certain things that's happened, and it's called consciousness. So it's a shift in our belief system, the paradigms. It's not about Ray Rand talking about the dinar and Yosef talking about the Zim and Bruce, and that's not awakening. That's not consciousness. That's just something small. It's one of the control factors, which is called the monetary system. But there's so many different ways that these wicked, evil people got us under control. And it's, Jared, my hat is off to you. I love you. You're patient, and you're really understanding because you're giving this to us. I hear it. And then you continue to answer questions and say it along with people are bringing to you. And but anyway, I'm going to go. But I just wanted to make that my personal opinion. I've been involved in humanitarian projects. I've seen the power of God. I'm a contractor, builder. I saw Oprah Winfrey take her whole crew to Hawaii, and I told my wife, I like that. I took my 10 guys to a casino in Connecticut. I paid $4,800 for the tickets, for the rooms. 10 minutes after I got in the casino, Garrett, I went over to my wife, said, let's go eat. I said, wait. I went to a poker machine, and 10 minutes, I won my $4,800 right back. And my life has been like that, up and down with different things. I gave turkeys away on the back doors, knocked on the door and left on Thanksgiving. I have experience with service to others, and there's no other joy better than that. And this humanitarian project thing is going to make each person kick in and feel that wonderful joy of giving and helping. And that's what's going to repair us. Jared?
You know what would have been good if you would have taken your 10 guys and you'd have said, guys, I got an idea. And I thought about taking you to a casino and let's blow it out and have a good time. But wouldn't it be great if I gave each of you a certain amount of money and we went out there and randomly just gave it to people who looked like they were in need? And just
that's a good point, Jarek, but I wasn't awake then. I was very into me, my.
Yeah.
And that was a condition that I've been suffering from. I'm no better than anybody else. Everybody wakes up at their own time. So at that time, I wasn't capable of doing that, brother.
Yeah.
Hello, Jared. May I interject?
Sure.
All right, guys. Let everybody who hasn't asked any questions in, okay?
Yeah,
okay.
I'm from Colorado. I'm Barbara, and I've been supporting entrepreneurs for the last 20 years, and I've really watched all the shenanigans that have gone on in the financial industry. And what I really found is that the people that are extremely disruptive regarding their new technologies, they really don't want to play by this current model, the venture capital model, because basically they have to give up all of their IP in their company just to get funded. And so I've spent years trying to figure out a solution to that, and I've done that. And so I just filed a patent on this new platform to support the new entrepreneurs that are really bringing the very disruptive technologies to the planet, a way to support these creators and protect them and enable them to maintain their sovereignty and enable scalability of their technologies. I found a way to do all this. And I've spent years thinking about it, and I really just wanted to offer that to you, to make you aware of that. I wanted to share that with you if there's an opportunity to discuss that. But it's something that I've got patents on, trademarks, the whole thing, branding, everything's ready to go. And it's really been teed up to help bring in the new solutions that are coming to the planet that will enable true human liberation and to heal the planet and to heal people. And so I just really wanted to offer that and make you aware of that.
Well, just send an email, and you've got my email address.
I do. I've written to you several times, but I think it's time to actually share the platform with you. Because
I need your contact information, and then I'll give you a call, and we can discuss it.
Okay, Jill. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jared?
Yes.
Night or morning at this point. Can you give me a little bit of clarification? We've been bouncing around throughout the call on the concept here. All here are awakened. The event and the RV are supposed to be happening simultaneously. Correct so far?
Correct.
All righty. Now, when the event occurs, we're going to be having that timeline shift. Some of us are going fifth. Those who are not yet prepared will be in third. Fifth, correct so far?
Correct.
All right. Fifth dimension, we're entering into our crystalline bodies. Correct?
Correct.
All right. Crystalline bodies, no more carbon physical body. We're going into our etheric bodies per se. Correct so far?
Well, we'll have bodies. We won't be in a gaseous state. We'll have form. So some of us will have form. The transition is in the crystal chambers.
All right. So the form we have, we'll still be able to feel and touch and hug and.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So if that event is occurring into fifth dimension, where there is supposed to be peace on earth, prosperity, the new Eden, what is the relevance of the RV at that point, or was the RV just the nugget to get us, to trigger us into remembering, to becoming awakened? And along this journey, we have all gotten to the point where we have realized that this is more a transition versus a transaction, albeit we're still anticipating transaction.
There you go. You just said it right there. This is a transition, not a transaction.
But we're still in anticipation of the transaction because we were originally of the mindset that there still would be a little time. Some of us are ready to go and hit that fifth dimension, but there would still be a little bit of time, hence all the hoopla about our humanitarian projects and dispersing this wealth to those around us. That is where my confusion comes in, or a little, disparity comes in. Which is it? You have said, yes, we're heading towards the event. The money is not important, which it isn't, but it is a tool. Rather, it's not the end-all, be-all, but it is a tool for us to get in this in our understanding currently to get things done until everyone becomes awakened and more conscious and money is no longer relevant. Right so far?
Close. The financial aspects, we're feeding the financial prosperity for humanity as far as the financial aspect of everything is concerned. Let's put it this way. The so-called RV would not be even in our minds or in front of us unless we intended it. So it's connected to the total transition of humanity, because the prosperity comes with the transition. The abundance comes with the transition. We no longer will be without with the transition. We are caught in almost a paradigm loop of not understanding that the transition is away from poverty, away from insecurity financially, away from pestilence and disease, away from that. We are breaking away from the old paradigm. We have already entered the new paradigm, which is wealth, prosperity, abundance, happiness, joy, all of these wonderful things that we were destined, and it was our God-given right to experience here on planet Earth. It was ripped away from us and taken from us. We have now come full circle. We were destined for total annihilation several years ago in a different timeline. We do not have that timeline any longer. We are now destined for golden prosperity and total financial security, where like I've said on this call a few times, money will become unimportant. Mm-hmm. And the money is coming with us. The financial support and everything is part of the transition for us. So you go from poverty and poor and insecurity and financial disarray and confusion and concern to prosperity, abundance, and wealth.
Which comes with us into the fifth dimension and with our crystalline body.
Yes.
So what about those? Are those who are still in the three-dimensional group, are they going to be, which one of us are going to be taken from here and put into that consciousness of either three-dimensional or the fifth-dimensional transition?
The transition is vibrational frequency. And as the collective consciousness vibrational frequency increases, of those who have chosen to go to fifth-dimensional frequency and fifth-dimensional Earth. So others will not be ready. Others will have to wait until they are ready to make that transition. So some will and some won't. In the sense of vibrational frequency, the different vibrations, one Earth will be apparent. The fifth-dimensional Earth, those of us who have transitioned to fifth-dimensional Earth will live in that environment of prosperity and happiness and joy and meditative states and beauty and respect for all life. The third-dimensional ones will stay in third dimension until they become awakened and can make the transition to fifth-dimensional Earth. Now, the third-dimensional Earth vibrates at its own frequency, so when we enter, it'll be like a transition where you don't even really notice it. You'll just notice colors will be brighter, feelings will be different, attitudes will be different, people around you will be different. It'll be an embracing, a love, a caring, an understanding collectively across the planet. Not in the third dimension, as we already know what third dimension is. I don't need to repeat it. But some will transition to the fifth. Others will stay in third until they're ready to transition. Some will go fast. Others will go a little bit average. Some will go slow. And some will take a little longer. So it's not going to be everybody all at once.
All right. So all of us, like how we have it, 14 different levels. We right now are going up to fourth and fifth. There are other higher dimensions here within the same realm, but we can't see them because we're not at that frequency as yet.
Correct.
So we will be here in fifth, but third will no longer be able to see us because of our higher vibrations, and likewise we not with them, or we can see them but not cohabitate with them because we're not on the same frequency.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. One last thing, insofar as the meditations I've been taking part since last week, and it is true, I have noticed that for some reason, and when you get off, for those people who have not yet joined, there is a sense of peace and a sense of tranquility and just of well-being when you get off that takes you way into the night, if not through to the next meditation. But I have noticed for myself, you are correct. The sun, the air, there's just something very light that wasn't there before I started my meditation. That jitteriness seems to have abated quite a lot, and there's just an expectancy that is sensed since becoming a part of the meditation. So I guess it's doing what it's supposed to do.
It's effectively shifting your vibrational frequency.
Okay.
That's what part of the meditation is doing for everybody, which means you will transition into more joy, happiness. At first, it'll be like little sips from the nectar, and then eventually it'll keep growing, and you'll keep noticing, and you'll keep noticing more changes. The changes will stay longer. They won't be as temporary, and then eventually they will become permanent.
Okay, so the flip-flopping ever so often where you have that sense of well-being and then the little voice of, let's call it,
yes,
peeking in, or you even are mindful of verbiage that no longer serves you.
Yes.
Okay, so this is all normal.
Yes, it's all normal. Yep.
Okay. Thank you for the clarification.
Well, thank you for the sharing. Okay, let's have one more question here, or we'll go till tomorrow. We're already into tomorrow. So if anybody's got one more quick question, we'll do that, or if not, we'll just end the call right here. Okay. I think we'll end it here, Dr. WC.
All righty then. She went off and went to bed early, so we'll be closing it out.
All right. God bless everybody. Have a great night, and we'll see you all. Thank you, Smarty. Thank you, Fisher. And see some of you at the meditation. Have a good night.